5:47. Good evening, everyone.
I'm taking a rain check on that.
Good evening, everyone. This is a caucus of the Jersey City Municipal Council. It's April 8th already in the year 2009. We had a 5:30 p.m. start. It's 5:47 p.m. Present at roll call. Councilperson Ridley.
Here.
Prinzeri.
Here.
Bagiano.
Here.
Yun.
Here.
Solomon.
Here.
Robinson.
Here.
Rivera.
Here.
Waterman.
Here.
We have a full house. Isn't that nice?
Yes, it is. Let's begin.
Take it away, Council President.
Good evening, Council.
And move the meeting along. So
We're going to move this meeting along and see if we can also enjoy some of the sunshine out there. Yeah?
Oh, yeah.
Let's start by bringing up Laura. You want to be the first on the agenda? Come on.
Opening acts.
Laura Tupori.
At 10J.
She's here representing,
Yourself.
and we should all be very proud of Laura. She started, I'm not going to say how many years ago, but she's worked hard and was just appointed as a deputy tax assessor. She came here from Ecuador, and she's really arrived.
You want to say something about
I guess Robert said it all already.
Yes.
I'm sorry. I always say it all. Sorry.
I'll just add, I've had the privilege of seeing Laura rise to the ranks here in Jersey City. And I remember Councilperson Viola Richardson speaking very warmly about you and all the hard work that you put in and here in the city of Jersey City, as well as doing everything you have done to just be a great public employee here in Jersey City. So you have my full support. Look forward to your new role.
Thank you. Thank you, everybody.
Anything else you want to say to the council?
I just want to thank everybody for the opportunity. It was really, I like what I do, so that's why I've been in the department for 16 years. So I'm here to help whatever I can for the taxpayers and the city as well. And that's my main goal, trying to do everything that I can to help everybody. Thank you.
Thank you. Any questions, council members? Great. Thank you, Laura. Do you have anything else besides your?
There was the
I have
one.
some resolutions.
Yeah.
Yeah, we have a couple of resolutions that, one is her appointment, 10J. It's a council resolution. So I'll put a little dot next to that. We've covered that. But we have 10K, a resolution to cancel 2,000 real estate taxes on property owned by English Evangelical Lutheran Church, the Redeemer, due to an erroneous assessment.
Yes, that one was a case with a deed. Somebody make a mistake, put in the black and white, so we removed the exemption, so we had to put it back again. So that's basically the resolution for that property.
Yes,
You can have a seat, Laura.
we're gonna ask a lot of things, you know, so sit down, relax.
Councilman, you please just take it easy.
Any questions on that,
She
council
gets
members?
appointed and she has to pinch it the same night.
Okay. Any other items?
Yes, I have one more.
And that's the next item would be,
10L.
right. 10L is a resolution to settle assessment appeals filed before the Tax Court of New Jersey. These are the big ones, the ones that don't go up to the county, go down to the
Yes.
state tax court.
So we have three different lots. Some tax court cases from 2014 to 2015. Some, it's like 6 lots that we lower the assessments due to the tax court cases,
By court order.
by court order, yes.
Council members, any questions on this?
Yes, I have, first things, congratulations.
Well, thank you.
You know,
That's an easy one.
Yeah,
Thank you.
and it's about now a couple of
That means you
cities.
gotta vote yes on Wednesday.
Yeah, Wednesday we're gonna vote yes, definitely. But if you answer right nice questions. Oh God.
Oh, God.
Okay, now this is what it is.
So warm, isn't it? I'm serious.
So now, you talk about the deputy tax assessor. It's one of the major concern about taxpayer of Jersey City. You know, Jersey City has a lot of property because they claim themselves 501c3. So actually, they avoid the tax. The paid property tax.
Yes.
Another reason is that we see that this council a months ago, you know, we actually land sold to the Hudson Community College, and the Hudson Community College that they leased their land to the private companies, a parking lot, and they do commercial business, and they didn't pay almost 15 years not pay, avoid to pay actual property tax. But that's just one of the tip of iceberg, you know what I'm saying? Actually, there's so many, as I know, many buildings and the property in Jersey City, that's where things happen. So as a deputy tax assessor, which is a tax assessor, I think we should look into those matters, you know, and they claim the 513, and actually it's not. They're not provide the 501c3 purpose, so actually serves the community. Actually, they invest the property and they avoid the property tax. I think about to look at, yeah.
So as we talked about this at a prior caucus, but my office is already looking into this. We're auditing all taxes and properties. If you or anyone on the council knows of a property that maybe is like possibly abusing that sort of rule, please let us know because we're looking into it now. We're working with the assessor's office to go
I'm going to
through
give
this.
you a couple of
That's fine.
property
Yeah.
Because almost how much is it? Almost 40% of profit in the city of Jersey City is a tax exemption.
Yeah, just to answer your questions, before we take any applications for this, we always check the bylaws. We check the bylaws, we check the deeds, anything by the background of the property, and also we request inspections as well to see that the property is in use for the exemption. So we just don't give exemptions because we just see the application. We investigate before we come up with any answer.
So key is that how often you investigate it. They investigate every annually, or because of I see.
It's every 3 years that they're supposed to submit it in a paper, every 3 years.
Every
because
3
that's
years.
basically the period. But we inspect it, like if we do drive-bys, if we see anything that, like, just doing a drive-by, somebody can call us, or every 3 years, we do an inspection, we check if it's in use. It is cases that you can be renting for other purposes, and we ask you for the tenant to provide us a 501 as well. So
Okay,
we
please.
checking those.
Yes.
It's not like we just take one paper. We always check the bylaws and everything coming with the application.
Yes, please, okay? And as a deputy tax collectors, I mean, you know, assess, please pay all those things so we can share fair share of the tax to the people who are abusing 501c3 status, okay?
Yeah.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank
You passed the test.
Council, any other questions about the 10L? No?
No?
Yeah.
Well, no, this is actually something we can have, there's a nonprofit that had some issues
Oh,
with
we want
their,
to address that with it?
yeah, with their tax status, but we can address that with you, I think, at a separate.
Which item is
Uh,
Didn't she
it?
handle it? Did you handle Father John?
And I think that's it.
No, it was Ed that was talked to Father John, not Lori, so we'll come down and talk to you tomorrow.
Okay.
Yeah.
Sounds good.
Because that's,
That's a parking lot of the church, right?
no,
You're
it's
talking about
a
something else, I'm
women's
sorry.
shelter, it's a separate conversation.
What about that other item that you have with the SID? Is that on there?
Yeah.
Z6 is on the agenda.
Yeah.
And I can also help Laura.
Laura addressing that?
Yes.
Yes.
Well, according to my documents, I do have a recommendation from Ed. He's denying the seat because of the claims of the taxpayer. He was claiming about that we using
C6.
Kennedy and West Side.
Yeah.
We actually were using the Kennedy frontage to come up with the seat. And one of his claims was that he's only benefit for the retail businesses, which is not true.
Correct.
So that's basically why we're denying this seat opting out from the
And I
seat.
know that there was conversation about making sure that the assessment was moving to the Communipaw Avenue and not Boulevard frontage, is that correct?
Well, that's a separate issue
Separate
over and
issue.
above what the findings from
Okay.
the council would be. But
Okay.
really, the council's restricted to the findings as identified in the ordinance.
Right.
The ordinance identifies that if an individual member of the SID or identified member of the SID wants to appeal that, they do it through the tax assessor's office, who then does an informal hearing, which Mr. Chaloza did, does a report to the council, which Mr. Chaloza did, and then within 30 days it is voted on by the council. The resolution itself is Mr. Tolosa's resolution to, or his recommendation, affirming his recommendation that the appeal be denied. The basis for the council to evaluate the appeal is the findings you made under section 69-70, the findings from the original West Side SID establishment ordinance. It's at the discretion of the council based upon your assessment and whether you agree with the assessment that Mr. Tolosa has provided to you. The only caution from a legal standpoint that we give to the council is please be cognizant that there will possibly be other similarly situated individuals that will come forward looking for an appeal, and that whatever analysis you do for this particular individual, this particular business, you would do the same thing for any other business. What we don't want is to have someone come forward and say, I'm exactly the same as A, but you treat me differently, I'm B. Okay, so just please make your analysis and your thought process consistent with however you treat this person, however you would treat somebody else who may come later.
Okay.
Any other questions on that?
No.
Do you have any other items?
And that will be it. I think I have 4. Thank you.
Thank you.
Congratulations.
Thank you.
Oh, where you live, by the way? Where you live? Heights? Oh, okay, I didn't know that.
He just wanted to say it. He just wanted to say it. He just wanted to say it.
We'll stay in the Heights then. David.
What's up?
David has 10D. D is in David. As in David Diaz.
Brian David Blatt.
Need more D.
So,
Oh, sure. It's a resolution introducing and approving the 2019-2020 budget of the Central Avenue SID, directing the city clerk to publicly advertise the budget and schedule a public hearing, and directing the tax assessor to prepare an assessment roll of properties within the district based upon the budget.
Well, good evening. On behalf of the Central Avenue SID Board of Trustees and myself, I want to thank the City Council for their ongoing support of our business community. I'm going to distribute here copies of the Central Avenue 2018 Annual Report. If you want to just take one and pass it along. Councilman, thanks. The SID organization maintains its mission to make the district a center for shopping, dining, working, and living. It operates to engage stakeholders, drive collective decision-making, and supplement services to the district. Central Avenue commercial property and business owners are very proud of the work and investment they've made in Jersey City through the SID program for the past 27 years. There's more work to be done as the city continues to grow, and our budget speaks to this point. It is important to note that our SID budget is vetted and adopted by the general members prior to the City Council receiving it. In January, the SID's elected Board of Trustees crafted the proposed budget. In February, a copy was mailed to each member of the 450 SID members, along with a letter inviting them to the annual meeting of the corporation. The annual meeting took place on March 12th, where the general members of the SID voted unanimously to adopt the proposed budget. CACID uses this collective decision-making process to craft financial planning. Trustees believe it generates a consensus on some of the core issues facing our shopping district, with the focus on the benefits for the SID members and Jersey City at large. The budget is now presented to the governing body for processing as per the advice of the District Management Corporation. If any members of the council have a question about the budget or the SID activities, I'd be happy to answer.
What street on Central Avenue do you end?
I'm sorry?
What street on Central Avenue do you end?
I'm on the whole Central Avenue, from Manhattan to North Street.
That's it?
Yep,
Should
14
move down.
blocks.
Should move down a little bit.
Any other questions, council members? Where does the your compensation or salaries fall under?
I'm not an employee of the SID. I'm with contracted services. I provide administrative services, marketing, and budgeting, and public relations.
So it's administrative services and management
Yep.
expense?
Yes.
Are there other expense lines fall under there?
I believe it's items 12, 15, and 16. Any other questions from the council?
Yes, I have some, I used to be a board members, not anymore. And Councilman Danny Rivera is a board member, and I heard that the board members very happy to your service, really. I'm so glad to hear that. And Central Avenue side, she knows that they do that, the reusable bag free distribution. How many? 13,000?
13,000.
13,000 they give away reusable shopping bag for the neighbor, how many, 5 years?
For the past 4 years.
4 years. Before even Jersey City started, reusable bag campaign and so on. So they did a great job. But now, I like to, every colleague today, look at the Central Avenue side the budget, which is a 10D, and please look at the 10C. No, 10B, the 10B. I think I like to, a business administration, even look at that part of it. 10B, this is a downtown history SID budget, and the 10D is a Central Avenue budget. If you see the assessment difference, actually Central Avenue assessment is 110,000. Downtown assessment is $300,000, like 3 times more than Central Avenue. But if you see the older down spending, downtown able to spend 5 times more than Central Avenue. So why these things happen? The assessment to collect only 3 times more, but spending power investor local avenue, downtown 5 times more than Central Avenue. Reason is very simple. If we see the revenue, I'm going to just couple of point out. Farmers market fee, $100,000 per year. Because downtown SID, they able to lease that Grover Street station, the land and area for the farmers market, and they collect the fee. Central Avenue, they have no infrastructure space like create extra revenue. West Side don't have that. Jackson, they don't have that. But meantime, because of those kind of amount of extra income other than revenue, they make financially very strong organization. Downtown, they're able to bring up so many different events in the place. But West Side Avenue is going to be a problem. McKinney Square, Jackson, and even Central Avenue, we wish to bring up those kind of events in our SID area, but we don't have that money. We call seed money. See, that's why I told the business administrator, West, Jackson, McKinney Square, Central Avenue, this is 4 SID need at least $100,000 a grant so that they can use that money to, as a seed money, bring up the event, any promotion. You see, without help them, they're going to have a tough time. Because why? They don't have other revenue resource like a downtown or exchange place. So the number is very clear. As I say, assessment only 3 times more, but spending power is 5 times more. Because those extra grant, the revenue able to bring up as a seed money, bring up to more dollars invest in that area. So please, it's a $300,000 invest to almost 1,000 small business community in Jersey City. It's good to have. If you invest, it's a good investment to the local business in Jersey City. So when we do that, especially Jackson, World F, B, C, D, will be good shape. Please, okay? I want you to consider that $300,000 set aside for this year budget. You did, right?
Well, the budget's already been introduced, and
We can discuss during those.
You can discuss it, right? Please.
but the truth is, the budget is in the council's hands. It's the council's decision
Yeah.
to determine where the allocations go. If you want to make amendments, you can certainly make those amendments.
Yes, so I also business administration aware that what's going on other SID other than downtown exchange place, okay?
Thank you, Councilman. I appreciate the advocacy. I just want to hit on 2 points. Central Avenue is the oldest SID in Jersey City, but it's also the second smallest in terms of what our assessment is. It's about 110,000, as you mentioned. Most of the other SIDs, with the exception of McKinley Square, are well over 200,000 in their annual assessment collection. So that impacts our buying power. We don't like to compare the SRDs one to another because they're so different and we address it different unique needs. Historic downtown is a transit hub. We're more of a Main Street community. We are starved for investment. There's a lot of things that do need to be done, so I completely agree that more investment needs to be in partnerships with the city. With things we've talked to the business administrator as well the last couple of years, that sanitation in particular is an area we're working with the city and the improvement district through a financial partnership, as you mentioned, would be ideal and have a great impact for the taxpayers. Be able to keep at least the main thoroughfare, the main neighborhood centers as clean as possible, working with the business community. So, thank you for your advocacy on that.
Okay, thank you. Who's next victim, Council President?
Thank you.
Kip the Google.
Carmen.
Remember, hey, Michael. Michael.
Oh, Wednesday, right?
Yes.
Carmen has 10Z13.
Yes.
Mr. Hetzel.
Just the one item?
Just the one item.
Yeah, this was one that was removed from an earlier agenda. Do you guys have
It's in the additional packet.
Robert, I got the additional packet.
Something to that
you
effect.
went, check your
So-
mailbox?
No, well, it's the one that you passed out.
Oh, I'm so sorry.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay, this is a resolution rescinding resolution 19-303 and awarding a professional service agreement with Otto J. Hetzel Esquire to provide the city of Jersey City with legal services in connection with the HUD audit of the city of Jersey City's CDBG HUD entitlement program.
Some technical stuff.
Okay. Carmen?
So, the Division of Community Development is still undertaking its audit and its audit resolution. And so we're presenting this resolution before you to actually take on the bigger ticket item, I would want to explain it, out of our audit. So I would say it was 2 years ago or so, we had undertaken services with Otto. We went through our entire audit findings, which probably amounted in the excess of about $16 million with the audit findings. And this particular contract is to handle 1A, which is the larger ticket item, which is the $11.5 million in regards to the finding. I think in trying to assess things that have been cleared and certain items, Mr. Hetzel and his team have been able to provide for us several findings and other things that are still under discussion with HUD in order to satisfy some things.
And Carmen, correct me if I'm wrong, but
Yep.
the council approved this last time.
Yep.
But because there was an issue of encumbrance of money,
I believe so.
so
Yep.
it was a clerical issue going back from last time to this time. So it's the same contract, you're actually going to avoid that one and to approve this one. But it's the same substance that you approved last
Yeah,
time.
there's no change.
So substantively, there's no change. Just to be clear to the council, so you're not thinking you're voting on something twice.
So far, how much we spend this company
Well, Otto, we have spent
so far?
so far.
Because $50,000 for 6 months contract.
Yep.
And as your director of the CD, how long we have to go on like this? And these things happen not under your leadership, you know.
No,
It's
I
a big
get-
for you.
So contract number one was $50,000 that was used out of CDBG admin, which came out of my budget. Contract number two was $85,000, and this is now contract number 3. And so what I would have to say upon an audit process is that we had to obtain a consultant to get us through the audit when the OIG came, and now this is about clearance. And so the recommendations that we had over like 25, 30 clearance items that had to deal with financial matters, and so right now it is not closed. As context for the home audit that started in 2013 before I was here, we closed that last year, right? So there isn't a clear answer to give you in regards to some of these things, but in trying to get better, the biggest ticket item is 1A of the audit, which is $11.5 million. What we have,
How many million dollars?
11.5.
$11 million?
What I will say in regards to cost savings, what we have done as a division is 2 years ago, the process was we were working with attorneys in the law firm, Jim LaBianca and some others. I've now hired Preeti Bakaria, who used to work in the law department, to handle compliance, and some of these matters have been taken on by her and her team to help deliver us some of these things. So there will be some cost savings, I think, going forward in trying to assess this. And so Preeti alongside with some other members in the law department, worked together to try to resolve some of the things that we just didn't have before. We didn't have a project manager per se to manage compliance and mitigate risk in the programs. That just didn't, it wasn't there when I got here in 2014. And so the amounts that we've had to pay is now just focusing on 1A.
So then, there was then, this is now.
Yep.
So whatever's happening is happening. You know, we gotta correct the problem. But under your leadership,
Yep.
what kind of effort do you prevent the future problem like what we had? What did you do so far?
So I would say is segregating the duties and having a team to manage compliance and also having an internal auditor in our division to supervise some of that stuff. So we have people that do production. I have an accountant who does the accounting, but no one was looking backwards. So I have an internal auditor that's helping with that, and then we have a fiscal analyst that's also in part of that team in separation. Most communities, like community development communities, they wear many hats, right? Depending on the role, the job role of what grant managers do. We have a lot of volume here, and so the volume here has to be separated. So what didn't happen in 2014 and 2015 is that I didn't have a compliance manager who has a legal background. I didn't have a CPA designated internal auditor, and those two positions are what I have now to help try to put in the roadmap that things like these don't happen again. But I can't sit here and say that the OIG might not come here and say, hey, you know what, you've taken $1 from the federal government and we're going to expose your entire program. We just have a better system in place than we did a few years back.
So when you say internal audit, we have a CPA working your side now?
Or have some, yeah, that has a designation, yep.
So then at least so we can prevent any future problem,
Sure.
not like what we have used to be.
Correct, yeah, I mean, it's about setting up the roadmap in place. I can't, we've been taking CDBG dollars since like the early 90s. And so I cannot prevent when an OIG audit, it will happen, but we can put in certain functions to safeguard us.
Okay, thank you. Keep the good work, okay?
Thank you.
I just want to make sure it not happen again.
Any reports?
Yeah, you
of
think I
audits?
wanted to have me when they show up at my door? Like, I'm like, oh yeah, sure. You want coffee? Like, it's literally been my life the past 4 years. September will be 5 years that I've been
5
here
years?
working through this.
So whatever's happened under the year leadership, then you're in trouble.
Yeah, yeah.
Can you provide any reports from any of this audit at this point, or is it?
Yeah, I mean, I can give you some like more updated, concrete like audit, like what's been cleared. And then I think you guys wanted a meeting with Otto, so that I will have that prepared in that aspect, but
And I understand he's in DC, right? So
he's in DC,
We
yeah.
could do it on
Video.
the screen,
Yep.
video conference or something like that. That'd be great.
Yep.
Marlene can coordinate that with you.
Yeah, we were working on that up to the last caucus.
That's great.
I'll get some dates.
Yeah.
Okay, no other questions, council?
No, are we setting up a conversation with them?
Yep,
Yeah. We didn't finalize yet. We're working on it.
we have dates circular on it.
Yeah.
I'll get the dates. All right, thank you.
Okay. Director Stamato?
Wow, he's not last.
No, I'm surprised.
Director
evening,
Stamato
council
has,
members.
10O and 10S.
To know, this is, we're going out to bid. This is the City of Jersey City acquired title to various motor vehicles which were impounded, and these vehicles have salvage value. We're looking at 14 motor vehicles. In this, there's roughly, of the 14, they have a minimum bid price ranging from anywhere from $3,000 all the way up to $8,000 per vehicle.
Council, any questions on that? On 10S?
Second item is 10S. This is to purchase one Matthew Azora street sweeper for the sanitation division. The cost on it is $186,453.73. The purchase of this sweeper will be used basically on our main areas between the delineators and the curb line, where the larger sweepers wouldn't be able to go.
Any questions on this, council?
Yes. The director, before I ask anything, you always come up with some innovative idea, try to save the dollars with DPW. I give you credit for that. So now, my concern is this one. Purchasing $20,000, $30,000 is not an issue. When we see the maintenance contract, if we see that the maintenance contract, they're very clear, they're gonna charge you $22,000 for 1,000 engine hours. So if we divide 1,000 hours divided by 8 hours a day, that means 125 days a week. 125 days a year, 125 days divided by 4 days per week service, that means 31 weeks. The 1 year is 52 weeks, 31 weeks. That means if 31 weeks they charge for 22,000, if we 52 weeks, in other words, they have to charge $38,000. But we have 11 machine, $38,000 a year contract, 38 times 11, almost $400,000 a year, just cost of maintenance contract. So my concern is that instead we pay them $400,000 for the maintenance contract the company every year, why we cannot do some training contract with that company so we can do service, in-house service? What is your plan to save money for them?
Right now, Councilman, you got to realize the service contract calls for them, first of all, to come out once a week. So they're coming out on a once-a-week basis to service the machine. There's also training involved with our personnel that will be administered by them. So this equipment, before it goes on the road, our drivers, our operators for these vehicles will be trained fully before they do go on the road. They'll be in once a week to check over the machines, to service the machines. There's a lot that's been cut back on this type of machine with the auto greasers, so the greasing isn't being done manually, it's being done automatically by the machine. It's just wear parts. We have a 5-year contract, not a contract, a 5-year warranty on this equipment. So, the only thing it doesn't cover is any premature, like damage or wearing out, excessive wear of brooms and parts. The basic idea is to get our guys up to the speed where they can be able to operate this equipment with enough knowledge that we don't have to pay for any type of excessive wear, premature wear. The second item, it gives us, DPW, an opportunity to put on mechanics that will be able to reduce this and also to eliminate this service program. So this is basically a program that we put in place to get us started, because this is a whole type of, it's a different machine than what we've been used to.
So instead we pay, we have 11 machines, so like 11 machines is 22,000.
Correct.
It's a lot of money per year, but if you just one user, maybe $230,000, but if you look at it over the 5 years period, it's $1 million. You know what I'm saying?
Well, I don't expect us to be servicing these machines in-house for the next 5 years.
Things. So yeah, if you look at it like in a year you're spending $200-something thousand, we're essentially not hiring mechanics to maintain these units. Right now, most of our mechanics are dealing with the street sweepers, so instead of hiring extra mechanics to deal with this, we're pushing on to the side. But the other thing is that this maintenance contract also covers the consumable parts, so things that wear out, the brushes and that sort of stuff. It includes that. So we're getting essentially free mechanics for the sweepers and consumable parts for them as well. So at least in the first year, it's a good transition.
Yeah, good transition, and to make sure that we able to maintain, regular maintenance should be in-house, instead of paying $220,000 a year. Another one, when we purchase come in the warranty, used to say 5 years. When I see that the contract, the new machine comes with a contract, and the main warranty comes 2 years, 2,000 hours for engine hours. So actually, it's not 5 years. So 62 weeks guarantee, everybody. So even though they say 5 years warranty, but in the paper they say 2 years, only 2,000 hours of warranty. So
Okay, what I'm going to do for you is I'll send you a copy of the 5-year warranty plan for this.
Okay.
All right, it should have been in this package for whatever the reason.
But somehow
it's not.
with our package here,
I understand.
they just say 2 years and 2,000 hours of warranties.
It could be on the parts. Let me get you that plan, and then you'll be able to
Yes,
see
we
for
just make
yourself.
sure we cover our side, you know what I'm saying?
I understand.
All right? Okay.
But keep in mind, this here is to get us started, like the BA had said, to get us heading in the right direction, and also giving us the necessary time to hire the right people to maintain this and eliminate this. So we're projecting roughly within 6 to 7 months, we could end this service.
So
Right.
we spend almost $2.3 million for 10 machine. What is the end of the benefit to taxpayers? What kind of a savings you going to bring to our table?
I believe over this term, you're going to see a tremendous savings.
How?
Yes,
Yeah,
the machines themselves are much more efficient as far as cleaning up the streets. There's less back and forth with the machines having to dump their waste. They pick up more every time they come by. We're going to be spending less to maintain them. There's a lot. Right now we have 18 machines. We're only going to have 10 or 11.
Right now, we have 22, so we're cutting that number in half. Number one, they're more fuel efficient than what we have.
Yeah.
Mechanical versus like a vacuum, totally different machine. For the amount of material that we do have on our streets, these machines will be more than capable. But the most important thing is the capacity of this smaller machine versus the mechanical machine. It's, in some cases, we'll give you an idea. The small one is 2.5 cubic yards. The Ravos are 6 point. It's almost 3 times the size of a mechanical.
And I would add, when we change from 2 days a week, street sweeping, to 1 day a week, we can redeploy workers to do other things besides doing.
I mean, it cannot be
Street
dream.
sweeping.
It can be happen because one of the major complaint today, they say after street sweeper passing by, after they have street more mess.
Yeah.
You know, that's the number one problem, because even though they sweep the street twice or, a week, still is a mess because of that they're not job to right. But if this machine is able to clean well, then the way Council President mentioned, then maybe we need once a week if they do job right. You know what I'm saying? So we're looking to matter.
I mean, look, right now, what I would look to do, we already have delivery of 3 of them. Let's see what the new fleet will do. And I'm sure I'll be at the next caucus meetings, and I'm sure you're going to bring that up and basically tell us how great the job we're doing. And in turn, Council President, maybe we can do it like once a week. I don't know at this point. Let's see what our capabilities are.
Yeah.
There are a lot of uncontrollable factors that we have to deal with, but I think you're going to be quite impressed for this purchase.
You're gonna start seeing them out very soon. We accepted 3 on Monday. We got 3 more coming Thursday. We have, I think, 4 coming next week. So they're gonna be out on the street.
So I'd like to see, assign the new machine to Central Avenue or
Probably
Heights
put them on the
first.
west side first.
I think they should go on the west side first,
Yeah.
because
Or-
a lot
yeah,
of
Ward
they
A,
have big
maybe,
traffic
yeah.
problems.
Maybe Ward
Can
E.
you hit 2
F
wards
probably?
going all the way down?
Yeah.
Wards
Okay.
A and Wards B.
I
So
can't
thank
promise
for
you
that.
this.
Appreciate that.
The color
Okay, we're just prolonging
scheme.
this meeting by doing that. It's just
Might as well have-
getting under your skin. I'm like,
We're gonna get unified if you keep
I mean,
it up.
I ask you, I'm the guy asking question.
All right, I promise you that there will be a brand-new machine in each section of Jersey City, and we'll have it colored accordingly for each
Correct.
section.
Please. Let's move.
yes. Tip off, remember, let's keep the eye on the ball.
Silver black, that'll be.
Do we have any other questions in reference to these?
No.
No,
All right, Council, thank you very much.
make a hasty retreat before they find another question to ask you.
Okay.
Next victim.
Joe Cunha.
Wow, he's not sitting in the quarter until 9 o'clock either. Congratulations for your
Got something
early
else.
arrival.
Thank you, sir. I got something else till 9, yes. My third.
First, I guess we'll start with the resolution. Can we start there?
Sure.
Okay. So 10Y, the resolution authorizing the payment of a claim submitted by ERFS for providing environmental consulting services to the city.
Good evening, council. You may recall that I did present with David Spader of ERFS a few meetings ago. The payments through the beginning of January 2018, which had accumulated for one reason or another due to a funding issue. I had mentioned that there was a recurring account which was replenished on, I believe it was an annual basis, but that had run out. So it made the most sense, since we bond capitally every 2 years or so for various environmental services. This fits perfectly in the category, and my division is the division that oversees that money and the expenditure thereof, all approved by you all. This is the last piece to settle the remainder of 2018, and you've also already approved the new expenditures for 2019. So by paying this, we're all caught up through the end of this year with anything that comes up as well, which I don't even anticipate using everything you approved for 19.
So there was a gap in the contract from August to January.
Correct.
And actually, Mr. Spader has a lot of work with the law department. He's our consultant, environmental consultant on the PPG remediation that is ongoing. And we actually work hand in hand with Joe and Dave going through all the services he can provide the city regarding the chromium remediation. So a lot of the work he actually does along with the law department as well as engineering.
That's correct. And the MUA as well.
Right. So there's a matter of connecting the August contract expired until the January one was picked up. And as Joe mentioned, that was an account that could not be replenished. So Joe was kind enough to put it on his books for all the reasons you just said. But it's something that we work collectively on. It doesn't matter whether it's coming out of law or coming from Joe, it's still coming from the city, one way or another.
And just to be clear, the amount that we ask for in bonding periodically is an amount that we kind of guesstimate as educated as possible, engineering-wise, for anything that may pop up to avoid fines from the DP. So far, we've been ahead of the curve, and it's been working out pretty well. Obviously, I will ask for less if it starts to accumulate pretty large as we clean up the city.
Council members, questions?
Do we have a sense of, I guess, why the contract lapsed in August?
It was because the fund that the law department had designated came up from settlement funds years ago, and we could not replenish it. I talked to John Metro and said, hey, this fund has gone down, we have to get it back up. And at that point, because the law department had no more money, that's when I was at a lucky conversation with Joe saying, I don't know Dave Spader's essential work, what am I going to do? And Joe was kind enough to say, this is something that he works with us as well. We can make this collaborative, it makes a lot more sense. That's when you picked up, so that was the contract in January. So all this is to make sure that he got paid from the time of August into January. So it's kind of an administrative issue, and that's always the problem.
Paid from August 18 to...
December 31st.
And then January,
2018.
you were picked up with the contract.
Right, but there's December 31st, but then the new contract starts January 24th. So is there any outstanding invoices between that period?
I don't believe so.
I don't believe so, no. It's usually a monthly invoice.
Okay. Any other questions, Council?
You know what, actually? He's great.
Yeah?
He's very, very good.
Here.
You are very good.
Thank you.
I mean, really, he attend the meeting. Yes, he understand almost every resolution. Very good. Keep the good one, really. I give you a lot of credit. Are you finished? But
Okay, the love fest.
Thank you.
Yeah.
no, really.
There's something coming later. There's something coming later.
We're being unified.
But we're replacing you with a real
All right.
next month.
While Joe is still here, if you have questions about 4C, the second reading ordinance, 4C.
Oh, yeah.
If you have questions about this item, now is the time.
4C.
4C is
Jersey,
the second reading for the ordinance ratifying the execution of deed easements for the properties that the Jersey Avenue Bridge will be essentially quote-unquote landing on the north side of the creek.
Unanimously 8-0.
Correct.
we're up to bid right now?
We're out to bid. Turnpike, I shouldn't say.
Oh,
The
sorry.
Turnpike. So to be clear, this ordinance had to be between the city who's going to own the bridge and the property owner to allow the bridge to land on their property. The Turnpike is bidding the project currently. We previously approved $3 million match on the city part. We do not anticipate, if everything goes relatively well, using all that money, which the rest would come back to us, and the $10 million, obviously, on the Turnpike, as I guess it was a gift for the inconvenience of the Pulaski Skyway, if you recall, from many years ago. So the Turnpike is bidding it. They're taking bids April 18th. If all goes well, they could be breaking ground within 3 months of that. So you're looking at the earliest end, per my estimate, summer, maybe July of 2021. So 2 years. They say 18 months, but I really don't think so.
9 months.
And Joe, these easements are required in order for that project to go forward.
Absolutely. If these don't go through, it stalls everything.
Council members, questions on this?
Yes, I'd like to have questions. One of the items is, I cannot find it here, But, they're gonna set up some kind of antenna.
Oh, there was,
I could speak to that.
yeah,
Yeah, so what kind of antenna you talk about? Because they
You
lease the
talking about
old.
4C?
No.
It's a 4C?
No, I think it's
I think you're talking about 4D,
uh,
the antenna?
It's X-Tenet, right?
yeah,
You said
yeah, no,
No, I
That's,
think
that's
it's-
the one that's the same as the Tilson agreement with the.
Verizon.
Yeah. What was
Talk about that too?
You can talk about that, but there's another one.
You have a representative here for that.
We did an ordinance like this 2 months ago.
Yeah, 2 months ago, but my question is that
Which one are we on?
they have like 4D?
Hold on, folks.
Okay, let me finish it. Because I cannot find the utility, here you go. 3C,
3C.
yeah, 3C. If we see the 3C,
So we're not on 4C anymore?
yeah, 3C.
We're not on 4C anymore?
We are no longer on
4C.
4C. Anyone else have questions on 4C? So just on 4C, Joe, you can be at the council meeting on Wednesday, in case there's public
yeah.
questions.
Yeah.
Yeah, if we see that, a list of the, putting the antenna into somewhere, if we see just a height itself like around the 13, 14 place, the 30 location height, so what kind of antenna you talking about this one?
I think they're largely integral to the actual streetlights. So what you see on a typical Cobra head pole, for example,
But how big is antenna?
it's
Yeah,
inside.
so,
We also have James Sessions here from Extend.
Oh, we do, okay.
Yeah.
That's it, we finished with Joe?
Yeah, Joe,
Joe's
Joe,
part of
before
this.
you go, do you handle the cranes? Somebody today told me you handle the cranes, the big cranes on buildings.
No, that's Ray, but
Who?
tell me, I'll.
It's the construction
Or-
official.
All right, well, both-
Construction official.
they said you
Okay,
were.
let's stay on this topic. Let's stay on this topic. So the question is, how high the what?
No, there's a 3C, they're gonna install like almost 100 different locations during the antenna, and the special heights with 30 antenna in the height. So I like to see what size antenna, how it looks like, we like to see.
Okay, so for the antennas that we plan on placing, most of them are strand-mount antennas. So we have a one-foot antennas, 2-foot antenna, which is actually not even located or co-located to the actual utility pole. It's one antenna, 2 radios, and 1 DC inverter, which will be co-located.
Can we see?
Which will be co-located on the.
So for the record and for everyone, this is James Sessions. He represents Extend Systems.
So to be clear, James, co-located means on existing poles.
Right, co-located means on
Existing poles. Utility poles that they have agreements with Verizon and PSCG already.
Okay, so,
These are for existing poles only.
okay, let me ask you this one. This is the antenna?
Yes, that's strand-mount antenna. I have no problem. Sessions.
If Marlene will get your contact info.
So what are the antennas for? What are they doing?
Primarily, right now, it's the operation. We have your cell phone, you can be both bars, but when you try to go online, some text messages, will keep spinning. So what these antennas do is they actually increase capacity, so not only coverage, but you can send data much easier. And primarily, instead of building large macro sites and 120-foot antennas with 12 8-foot antennas on them or 12 antennas on the building, what the new technology coming forward is small cell and distributed antenna systems where they place one antenna on a pole, another one maybe 500 feet away, creates a larger network, they connect that to the antennas that are placed on the pole are only 2 foot in diameter, 2-foot height antenna, they're placed on top of the pole or on the comm zone, as you can see in the pictures right there. And if I'm correct, the majority of the antennas that we plan on placing in Jersey City are strand mounted. I'm correct, we have 214 of the 214, 19 are pole mounted, the other 190 are strand mounted antennas, very similar to the black boxes that are black cylinder technology that you see on cable strands now. It's really non-invasive and that's just butter. I mean, regardless of how we move forward in the next 10 years, it's projected that we'll see small cell antennas that be 500 to 750 feet. Right now, this project is with T-Mobile, where we know for a fact that Verizon and AT&T all looking with small cell antennas from this program.
So this is replace the big antenna of the building?
Yes, this is a step. Now, don't get me wrong, we will not be removing any macro sites that exist right now. But instead of putting up macro sites which aren't really suitable for getting capacity as necessary, small cell and distributed antenna system is what's better used.
So this is a transfer data and the voice?
This is primarily data.
Probably data, not the voice.
But for T-Mobile or any carrier?
Right now, this system is for T-Mobile. We're letting fiber, and aerial fiber and ground fiber, which can be T-Mobile, Verizon, or AT&T. On the pole-mounted antenna as well, because there's a radio that's attached to the pole, we can place radios inside that equipment box to make that antenna suitable for more than just one carrier.
Pass it around.
This is for the part of the
Oh, they're making
5G.
copies of it.
So this is part of the transition to the 5G networks that you and all the other telecommunications companies are doing.
So this is for 5G?
5G.
G, 5G.
Yeah.
It's 5G.
So essentially, the current technology out there is just about enough to handle the data from maybe 3 years ago. With all of the data growing exponentially, this is the next step, smaller and closer to the ground where people are on the streets.
Will each carrier have to go through this? I'm just curious.
Yeah, you've previously approved 2 or 3,
Right.
3 I believe.
Second.
To be honest,
This is third.
Yeah.
This is a fiber provider, so it's very similar to Crown Castle or American Tower, these other towers that people co-locate. We lay fiber, and any carrier can use fiber.
Anybody.
So we have a network within any jurisdiction. It's much easier for a carrier to come and say, hey, what can we replace those that we can do on the network? Any pole location, we replace this. So it's much easier after we lay fiber for a carrier to come in.
My next question is,
Are they leasing off of your infrastructure, other carriers, or?
On the fiber, I mean, the ability for them to come in right away agreements and everything. They still
Say
have-
again?
I said only on the fiber, but they still have to come to the municipality and get the required permits.
But they lease from, the fiber from you?
Oh, yes.
You lease it?
And I just
I'm
know,
curious, what does that typically, how much is that?
That is not.
Somebody's making out.
I'm not sure.
That's all I saw.
No. FCC, the third FCC order rule that just came out in effect in January, which it does set guidelines in regards to pricing and municipalities for use of the nodes inside the right of way. And that is something that is usually in our right of way access and use.
We can charge for it.
The
FSC came out with a ruling.
third order ruling, yes, 180-133, which provides guidelines not only on the time to review, but also in regards to pricing that can be.
We went through this when we did the Tilson one, where
Right.
we discussed what the fee we could charge was, and
Correct.
how, if we could say no to it, which we're not
Right.
allowed to say
And
no.
I believe that is in our ROW agreement that.
Yeah.
Matter of fact, it's based on.
and I would also note for the council, there's the numbers here, so the 20 years and the $750 per pole is
Right.
the same as it was for the Tilson agreement. And the $750 is contemplating the amount of time for engineering to review, for the law department to review, as part of that review process. It is not designed, by law, cannot be a profit-making enterprise.
Right, it can't. Right, yeah, I thought.
can I add, because,
Councilman Young?
yes, I'm not the tech person, so I'm going to ask a very stupid question. This antenna is a height, is above the power line, or this is same height
No,
with
it's in the comm zone, in the communication zone. So the power is above, the communication lies underneath the power.
how about that, yeah, like a dish network or cable wire?
Being in that same zone.
Same zone, but now then I'll have to bring up to some concern. You know, because of that cable wire, the way the height they set it up in the most part of the city, because their line is wire is very low. If any like a tractor trailer passing the local side street, they knock it down wire left and right.
That won't have to happen. We have standards that we have to provide, that we have to abide by with our given PSCNG and Verizon in regards to heights. Comm zone is generally not an area where any wires are going to be low enough for a truck to hit, or a truck to even pass through it at all.
It's part of your review too, right?
So your case is the way they set up the wire.
Most of our lines would be approximately between 22 and 35 feet.
Okay, so you're not going to be interfering with the
Not at all.
Okay, just want to make sure, you know what I'm saying.
And not on the crossing wires, on the parallel to the curb wires.
Yeah, the crossing wire is a major
The
problem.
issue with the crossing wires is that a lot of times our cable or Verizon
Yeah.
that needs to feed the house, it depends on the height where it lands on the house.
Yeah, they go like
It's a
this.
set height by BPU on the comm zone that he's talking about at the pole line, the main line. But if you have a very low connection on the house, sometimes it's a little bit too low.
Yeah.
They're supposed to put it higher on the house,
Right.
but they don't always.
And this goes pole to pole.
Okay, pole to pole, so, okay. All right,
Right.
so your company provide any free internet service or the data service in the citywide
We went through
exchange
this the last time, we
service?
can't ask them.
You cannot ask that? Okay, goodbye then.
We actually spent a year
Yeah.
dealing with legal to try to find ways to make to charge more fees, but
Yeah, we can't do that.
every road led to no.
Yeah, $750 is, you know how much
Yeah.
we pay for the Joe Kuno? We pay a lot of dollars.
That's right. I try to give you every penny worth,
Yeah.
and then some.
Unfortunately, I don't set the guidelines, that's set by FCC.
They'd be happy to look it over all that, right?
Couple questions, do you have?
Councilman Solomon.
For the poles that you're putting in the historic district, I mean, have they gone through historic
We're not
review?
placing any poles.
And I know about the poles, for the equipment that you're placing in the historic district, have they gone through historic review?
Not as of yet.
Okay, is that something that's gonna happen before?
Yes.
Yeah, everything gets its own review.
There's basically two reviews. There's a planning review,
Okay.
which includes the historic, and a technical review, which is basically my division, it's mainly Drew, so you all know Drew by now. We check to make sure that they meet the no more than 20% larger than existing facilities FCC rule. That's a national regulation.
So
As far as
basically,
height and size.
before you were to place in a historic district, you'd have to apply for a permit for planning, and planning would have to
It's
approve.
a little more relevant when you're installing new poles, which is
Right.
what we talked about the last time, where if it's a new pole, we gotta make sure it fits the aesthetic, but this is sort of just clipping onto the wires.
Right, but it's still in the historic
Yeah.
district. I mean,
Sure.
Matt,
Yeah.
planning, he wants to say
So,
something.
not the-
I think they have to file a section 106 with the state. I don't know if they do an HPC review. But that specifically speaks to technology or applications within a certain proximity or within historic districts. I don't know.
to do that for each time, or is it?
I think they can do a bulk
Full
application.
application?
Yeah.
Do you know if you guys have done that yet?
Not as of yet.
Yeah, okay.
I think we have this stack sitting in our office for review right now. Along with this, for any new poles comes our standard right-of-way opening permit fees and review as well. If they need power, in this case, majority don't, but some may. Even where they're swapping out a street light for a, that's a separate agreement with PSE&G, as PSE&G owns the vast majority of the street lights.
And how does this equipment work when, utilities are buried? So if you don't have any,
Well, the utilities are buried, they probably won't be looking to put that as a practice.
right now, okay, got it.
So now, another question is that, it's like a Central Avenue, it's a main shopping district, probably spend the most of data users, But Central Avenue also, they have no pole, because the wires on the ground, you know what I'm saying? So those kind of area, how are you gonna set up the antenna?
But we also do underground wiring.
I'm sorry?
We also do underground wiring, we generally follow the same
They
routes.
do underground too.
Oh, you set
They
up,
do underground wiring, and they follow the process that Verizon
The
uses.
same routes that they.
Oh, you're right.
So we have issues like Central Avenue, which is
Yeah.
decorative lighting. They mimic that light as closely as possible. I don't know that Exton is proposing that, but there have been other companies that have been pre-approved.
Just know, this is our first step in the matter of agreement. We do have to apply for any additional permits that are required, so any review that requires us to look at any stealth design or different light poles that we have proposed, that is something that we want to do. We're across that matter, we're going to get to it. Right now, before we move forward, we have to take it.
Okay, all right.
Other questions?
All right.
I have a question, but it's kind of generally just about this. As opposed to asking them to anything. There was another company that was in the process for this, I forget the name of it. Do you recall that?
The one we approved.
But they were not like Verizon or, who's your, T-Mobile?
Yes.
So they actually built infrastructure that Verizon and T-Mobile and others would like lease, I guess, or
This
use.
was before it became BA, right?
I forget,
It was a
yeah.
while ago, yeah,
Do
yeah.
you remember the name of it?
That was a while ago.
We haven't
Oh,
heard,
Mobility,
Like
yeah.
that was like 2 years ago, maybe?
What happened to them?
we haven't heard from them since.
They were gonna install on buildings, right?
No, they wanted to
were
do
gonna put a
poles.
lot of new poles.
They wanted to do
All new
poles.
poles, in fact. They couldn't,
So to your point about how many of these folks are gonna come on there, like, they were gonna build like their own, like, infrastructure to, yeah. So I don't know if we've explored this, and I know I raised this once before, but, I don't know if it's feasible, but if, it seems to me maybe it'd be worth the city looking into the idea of building its own infrastructure and then having other providers lease on to us. That's,
We looked briefly into that. I think the
Yeah.
issue is the proprietary equipment. They vary so much from one company to the other. I think you could probably speak better to that, the technology itself, but.
Well, I don't want to get into it. Jurisdiction at the current time.
We would be competing with them, I see.
yes, that would be a competition with them. That would be. All right, any other questions, Council? Thank you, gentlemen.
Thank you.
Joe, do you have anything else?
No, that's it.
Okay.
You want to talk about,
Thank you, Joe.
talk about Andrew's stuff?
All right, Matt Ward and Mallory Clark. We have two items, 3A and 3B.
Yeah.
But I understand 3A is being withdrawn? No, I'm sorry, 3B.
3B is being withdrawn, yes.
Oh, is it? Okay.
Yes.
All right, we didn't know.
Oh, I'm sorry, should have brought you up earlier, because it was just one item.
Okay.
So they have 3A, 3B is being withdrawn.
I have that. I have the full pack. Thank you, Bill.
Did you get this done?
Yeah, Jermaine wants to add something else.
What are you here for, Mr.?
So, I'm here on 3A.
That's an ordinance of the council adopting amendments to the,
Actually, sorry, wait.
Yeah.
Jermaine, but you wanted to withdraw 3B, right?
3B, you
Yeah.
wanted 3B.
3A, we're not going to talk about. 3A is the transit-oriented development north zone in the Morris Canal redevelopment plan, adopting amendment there too.
All right, so this is an amendment to the TOD zone. It's an area at the intersection of Johnston and, the road's not signed. I think it curves, it's Communipod that curves into Johnston right in front of the light rail tracks, or light rail station. This amendment doesn't permit any new bulk. It doesn't increase the size of the building. The amendment simply codifies some kind of housekeeping, but the main piece of it is that it would add an additional 57 units based on the existing bulk of the building. So it would shrink the units, but to a more reasonable size. And then 20% of the additional units would be deed restricted as affordable. So that would be a total of 11. And that is the amendment.
20%, and then,
Yeah.
is there currently affordable outside of the 20%?
No, there currently is not.
And so you're shrinking the units.
Yeah, they're just not, yeah.
How they
Instead of,
How serious?
I mean, I don't think it's an unreasonable size. Yeah, but we haven't seen that analysis yet, so.
So you didn't get that from the planning, when it passed planning?
No, that would be done in site plan review. When we look at this.
So the original plan was 112 units, and they increased 57 units more, so total will be 169 units.
That's right.
Without changing height.
That's
So
right.
in other words, they make a more smaller room, correct?
Yes, that's correct.
Yes.
So that's number one question. So in other words,
What's
the
that?
how small is small?
Right.
That wasn't studied.
So we don't know how small is small.
No.
So we don't know that they can do
So
something like
it's
they
a
cannot
micro
over-
units?
Right, is it micro,
Right.
because I don't want to deal with
I
micro.
don't think anyone who's here to speak on it is from the
Oh,
behalf of
yeah.
the petitioner, but
So,
if we
you know
want to
what?
get that information, I'm
Okay,
sure I can.
Matt, this is what is concerned. They not change a height,
Right.
they only change density by shrink the size of each unit.
Sure.
If that's the case,
Yep.
if that's the case, there were anybody from the NW Finance
They wrote a memo, but they're not
No,
here.
they're not.
not here? So, if they claim that, I don't know how small they will be, probably maybe 400 square feet, 500 square feet, average is 750, but now they talk about 400 square feet, increase 50% or more of the affordable housing units, then build a Johnson Street 500 square foot, 600 square feet, if he claimed that construction costs, if he say $300,000, then I started my scratch, not on the left, right hand too.
Okay.
No, I think-
Is there a developer associated with this project?
There is.
Is there one here present today, represents?
No.
I see two.
Yeah, okay. That's fair.
Yeah.
So we,
Fair enough.
there's no deadline on this, right?
Okay,
Okay, so how about this? We'll withdraw.
Council members, one at a time, hold on.
I can just add one more piece. So it's 57 more units. It's a large building as is. It's a 14-story building. So 57 units over 14, it's like almost like 4 per floor that they're adding per. So it might be a reasonable size to discount, but
So
we can get more information.
We'll withdraw.
Yeah.
We'll make sure to get the unit size before and after.
Good.
And what was the other thing about the affordable housing that you wanted to know?
I said, no, first
The
this
cost
is
of-
what I'm looking for.
I can't even do that.
Yeah, okay. Number one,
Don't raise your hand because
so number one, I'd like to know size of market price and affordable housing.
Yeah,
You know,
okay.
That's number one. Number two, if it's a market price of units, how much they will be charged. If they have affordable housing, then how much will be priced for that, okay?
Something like that should be, or I believe is detailed in your NW.
Yeah, just to summarize it, because unfortunately, when they file the class work, it's probably 400 pages, we got no time to read it. Just brief summarize that, all those information, number one.
No, it's not in here, by the way.
You didn't provide the actual plans.
Yeah, I didn't provide Okay.
Or the square footage, so we'll get, that's fine.
How many two-bedrooms are
Okay.
affordable?
Councilperson Waterman?
How many two-bedrooms are affordable? Do they have any three-bedrooms that are affordable? You know, those.
What's the
type
mix of units in this whole?
Yes.
And the
Because
number,
I have concerns because, for
Right.
example, the Culver Avenue 440, they added some density, and their idea of doing units that are at an affordable price point are starting them at a very small studio size per square footage. So I just don't want to see
Right.
this starting
Yeah.
to happen and have that be
That's right.
Sure.
the affordable size,
Right.
right?
Okay, sure.
and then not only that, this is what they call that, the NW Finance, when they analyze the construction costs, they say each unit costs $300,000. When you build affordable housing units, we want to make sure that the affordable housing units has biking appliance. You know what I'm saying? The affordable housing units appliance should be affordable price appliance. You know what I'm saying? So not marble floors. You know.
Oh, okay.
So they claim that $300,000 of construction cost of affordable housing unit.
It's not.
It's not.
It's not. He's right.
Okay, so they actually, NW Financing, they inflate price of construction costs, show to us 59 units more, only they benefit $59,000.
Okay, let's read that.
Yeah, so we're
Let's
gonna
wait till-
withdraw. We can come back to this.
We need to see what the construction costs and the, folks, one at a time.
Well, okay, that's a good point. If we can get this information by tomorrow, should we keep it on?
I don't
No, withdraw.
NW financials. I don't control what their minimum contract.
Okay, all right, so we'll withdraw, we'll come back, it's fine.
I guess
Councilman,
for the record, this
this is his ward.
there is no abatement with this.
No
And-
abatement.
And because of the units that's being put on, it triggers the 20% affordable, which no affordable units are called in this development. I mean, in the Morris Canal.
But
So-
you know what, though, Jermaine, in all fairness, now, if the units are too small, it's gonna be like just for a studio. Who is affording, I mean, I'm thinking about, you know, families.
Oh,
They're
I
not getting
understand.
affordable units.
I'm
You know, they're not getting it now.
build as of right, there are no affordable units.
Right.
Zero, like not even a studio. And I talked to the developer and I asked them to bring me the numbers on the 30% AMI. You know, I wanted to see 30 and 50%, not 80 and 1 to 20. So, no, he didn't show it to me, so I'm good with pulling it.
Okay.
I think that we all feel the same kind of way. But like I said, there are no affordable units if they build as of right. If they build 112 units, of course, they're not asking for an abatement, but there will be no affordable units. You know, because the plan, the Morris Canal plan doesn't, ask for affordable units.
Okay,
Got it.
Okay.
okay, it's withdrawn.
Withdrawn.
Yep, fair.
Matt, are you guys doing 10N? Or is that what you're doing 10N?
Oh, that was, it's kind of drafted on Ray Reddington's behalf, and we were ghostwritten on that. But we can, I think that there's someone here to represent that, and we can stick around for any other additional questions.
Do 10M now?
For planning. We do.
Is the fire truck?
We do have some.
This is the
park.
park.
Yeah, we do. We do.
Okay.
Mallory does know some information about that.
Let's,
Can we do 10M?
10M.
Yeah.
M is in Mary, 10M.
We'll just.
It's a resolution authorizing the City of Jersey City to execute a developer's agreement with Grand LNH 3 LLC in connection with the construction of improvements at a park located at Block 15906, Lot 11 at the corner of Sussex Street, and an extension of Grove Street to be constructed.
I'm going to invite Charles Harrington up to speak, and if you have any questions for planning, we'll be in the wings here.
Okay, thank you. Council members, for the record, Charles Harrington of Conifoli on behalf of the developer on this site. Just kind of give you a background of what this is. It's actually, it's a developer's agreement. So essentially it's memorializing the agreement with my client in the city to build out the new park that is behind the old Boys and Girls Club. We're also, building out the extension of Grove Street. This is all in conjunction with a project that, it's a phase project. The first phase is under construction. You'll see it at the end of Grand and Grove there. It's a 45-story building with the 549 units that I believe is topped off. We're actually starting construction now on the extension of Grove Street. These are handouts if you'd like to look at them. Just kind of gives you a placement of yeah, right. Just kind of give you a sense of place. I'm sure council members are aware where the old Boys and Girls Club was. And this was part of a redevelopers agreement when the Boys and Girls Club was transferred and then the new Boys and Girls Club was built off of Park Street. So these are the projects that resulted from this. Also the park resulted from that. So we have been coordinating our efforts with Mr. Reddington and the law department to memorialize our agreement. We've also been coordinating our efforts with the Jersey City Engineering Department and the Planning Department as to how the park is going to be built out, make sure that the conditions are acceptable, the materials are acceptable for the city, because eventually the city, the park and the streets will be dedicated back to the city. So this is really just a memorialization of what our obligations are. Going forward. It's also, I note in there, it's required to be done prior to the first CO for the first phase. We did provide a performance bond, but it's also required, and we want to actually start work yesterday. So this is something that Ray has been working diligently with us on.
Yeah, who's doing the traffic?
Traffic. So. For what?
Got 569 units down there, right?
Yeah, it's an approved project. It's
I
done.
know, but did anybody do a traffic survey? 569 units, I think it said?
I don't recall if there was a traffic study. It's part of a redevelopment plan. The zoning was put in place.
I know the redevelopment plan, but I look at what's happening throughout the city. You can't park any place. You can't, the traffic is horrendous. And the city, Joe, the city should be doing traffic surveys, and some of this has got to stop. There's not enough parking in these buildings. How many parking units are there in the building?
It's about 0.5 ratio, so it's a little, probably like 250 to 275 parking in this project. There's a parking garage at the lower levels, so this has a lot of parking.
Councilman Solomon.
So, I guess what was in the redeveloper? Was this in the How do we decide what was going on in this park?
Do you want to address it? Let me bring up my client, Josh Weston. Here.
How do you spell your last name, Josh?
Sure, Westneck, W-U-S-T-N-E-C-K.
So one more time.
Yeah, I was just about to say that.
W-U-E-S-T-N-E-C-K.
Looks easy when I see it. Thank you.
So site plan approval for this goes back to 2012. That's when it was approved. That's when the redevelopment amendment that embraces this.
So the site plan was approved, and the site plan, what level of detail was in there in terms of what we were going to put into the park?
Similar level of detail to what you see on the third sheet there. Now construction level details, which is in both sides of the
Okay. And
So the approved plan is attached to the redevelopers agreement, the landscaping plan, so, yeah, it's similar to the handout.
So this is based on a redevelopment agreement?
Yes, and site plan.
All right.
Yes, and site plan approval.
Site plan.
And when was that, when was the redevelopers agreement signed?
back in probably 2014 timeframe.
Okay.
Can I ask you a technical question?
Yeah, yes, please.
So there was a redevelopment agreement. So I haven't seen an agreement like this come before the council when there's a redevelopment, because we have lots of redeveloper agreements with lots of community benefits and things being built and so forth, and they don't find their way to the city council. Why is this one here before us? Maybe the law department or someone else can answer. I don't know exactly.
Well,
Everybody jump in.
yeah.
Mr. President, it goes to the fact that the city now currently owns the park. We
Right.
need permission to build the park. So we asked for a license agreement to be able to come.
Oh, so land owned by City of Jersey now.
Right.
The
So
park.
you guys need a franchise agreement to use the park, the renovate. But now let me ask you a question.
It's not a franchise, it's a license agreement.
License agreement.
To build it.
A license
To build it.
So let me ask you a question.
Form of developers.
Do they have any dog park?
I never let you leave the city's possession.
We have rights to
You have
use
rights
it.
to use it or to build.
Do they have any dog park?
I'm sorry?
Dog park.
No, there's not a dog park within this park, but the project does have a dog park as part of the tenant amenity space.
Oh, project has that. Okay, great.
And there's a dog park right on the other side.
Yeah, right on the northern section of the lake. To the west of where the park is here. It's a grass strip on this.
And what is the timeline anticipated?
We will begin construction as soon as the
Okay, and how long would you anticipate it taking?
4 to 6 months.
Okay. In this project, correct me if I'm wrong, you guys are using St. Peter Street as a staging site on the construction?
St. Peter Street is privately owned.
So my understanding is, I guess there's a dispute, but I asked our tax assessor, and he said it was publicly owned. So it has never been deeded to the city. So where in the redevelopers agreement do we discuss that street and when it becomes a city street?
We've discussed as part of our testimony for site plan approval and indicated on our subdivision that all of the streets that we built will be publicly dedicated.
So,
And is there a time, is it prior to issuance of a CO, or is there any? There's no. Okay.
no,
We can offer for dedication, the process for acceptance is out of our control at times.
True, but, okay. I think my concern, so I guess there are a number of issues just related to construction over here that have been on my plate, and I guess I hadn't heard from you guys until now. So, I'd like to hold on this, to sit down and have a chance to sit with you guys and walk through a couple of the issues that have been brought to my attention related to this project, and just make sure that we're all kind of comfortable in that area. So, just.
I mean, we need this to start work on a park.
True.
So
I'm not talking about not working on the park, I'm talking about delaying for 2 weeks. To have a chance that you and I to sit down and talk through some of the issues that have been brought to my attention around this site by my constituents. I mean, you have my, you have my number. You guys could have called me.
Yeah, well, we've been working, it's just.
You have my number.
Yeah, we're improving the park, so it's, nobody told us that there was any issues otherwise. We weren't aware of it.
Yeah.
It would be unknown if there was any issues by the councilman unless you're aware of what the issues were, I guess.
Yeah, we weren't aware of any issues. So why?
I negotiated this license for a year and a half.
Should talk to the ward councilors.
Wait, you were negotiating with redevelopment for the year and a half?
No, this particular license needs the park redevelopment.
Is the development already completed?
Phase one is, yeah, I mean, phase one, we're working on, yeah, the site plan. We were just, we were looking for this agreement so we can start the park.
I mean, the reason I haven't talked to you guys is I'm in the middle of like a 3-month email exchange to figure out questions about the ownership of streets and some other concerns that, sometimes emails don't get responded to, but again,
So we'll withdraw this?
yeah, I mean, just for 2 weeks so we can have a chance to sit down, talk through these issues and go from there.
Okay. We weren't aware of any issues, so,
Understood.
Likewise, everybody knows where I am.
Yeah. I just want to make sure it all comes together and fits up.
It's a very valuable land.
It is.
Okay. Very valuable land. And then why if we sell that land,
we're not buying.
We don't have to go.
you can lower the
Okay, let's move on and let this. Thank you, gentlemen. Thank you. And Angela Davis.
Okay.
Angela has 10Z and 10Z10.
I'm starting getting calls again.
10Z is a resolution authorizing the use of competitive contracting to award a contract for senior congregate meal preparation and delivery. Any questions about 10Z? We do this annually.
So, well, well, there's Z and then there's 10Z.
Yeah.
They're both the same. I mean, it's sort of Z10. Well, Z is for the congregate lunch program, and then Z10 is for Meals on Wheels.
Yeah. So, any questions on 10Z?
well, I spoke with her already, and she knows
this on?
our concern. So I just want to make sure that.
What's our concern?
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
Okay.
Yeah. Not only the quality of the food. And she will.
So the resolution, so basically what we're asking for is to move to competitive contracting, which is part of the local public contract law. We want to move towards that because previously we're at the end of a 3-year contract, which ends on June 30th. And previously we've been by the lowest bid, and that has given us low quality food that we have. And as you all know, you've probably heard from your constituents, the seniors are not happy with the quality of the food, and neither are we. So we feel that this process, where we will have competitive contracting, will allow us the opportunity to look beyond just the lowest price. We'll have a committee which will be appointed by the business administrator, which we definitely want to have at least 2 seniors on that committee, as well as our staff dietitian, and other staff in the Division of Food and Nutrition, so we can really look at the quality and compare all the different vendors who will apply for each program, whether it be the Meals on Wheels program or the congregate lunch program, so we can bring the quality of the food up for our seniors.
You should have a city council taster.
We're not allowed because you voted on that. But you can select people and send them to us, and we're happy to add them to it.
Well, you can always select one from Maureen Collins, and then also from Patterson, a senior.
Yeah.
It'll be from 2 ends, it'll be.
So you have gotten feedback from seniors about
we can recommend one of the senior.
Folks.
I'll let you know the other. Okay, Council President, you say right, and they have same page with us. We're gonna be heights all the way north, we're gonna recommend one of the senior as a taster to the food, and then maybe south side.
Right.
So we're gonna keep an eye on the
Select
quality
that,
of the food.
Maybe, definitely.
Right, somebody from the south side.
Yeah.
That's why we're having two, one from each of our centers that will participate.
Yeah,
Great.
that's what I said, yeah.
So we can bring like a
for wedding
transparent
cake.
accountability.
Yeah, absolutely.
Like a wedding cake.
And yeah, you said feedback from the seniors about.
Yeah, with regard to feedback, so what's the feedback that you've gotten specifically? Is that?
Yeah, generally, I would say with, especially with the congregate lunch program, we've had seniors that have, they feel that the the quality of the food in terms of like how it looks aesthetically isn't great, which what we want to work on. Food being too salty, some of the different spices. I mean, the seniors just want a very basic, wholesome food. So there was some of the feedback. And sometimes it's just the color is very dull. The vegetables are overcooked. Things like that. So with this competitive contracting, we'll be able to kind of do this taste test, really be able to look beyond cost and really look at all the different factors. We also want to see sample menus from the vendors to be able to get a real sense of like what they get the vision that we have for increasing the quality and the variety of the food as well.
Is that feedback solicited via surveys, or how is that?
Last year we did do a survey. We have not done a survey this year. I think that we did share with you when the request to extend the contracts came up. We did have some feedback from the seniors last year. And then generally when I go to the centers, especially for different events, I just ask the seniors, how's the quality of the food? And I get an earful from them. Also, our lunch site managers are also consistently monitor the quality of the food and taking pictures, as well as our new nutrition services program supervisor, Diana Lee, who's a registered dietitian. So we get that feedback as well. We're constantly monitoring as well as we see, and there's certain things that we definitely we get a lot of feedback from. We are sending photos to our current vendor, so he is aware of the issues that the seniors are raising with us.
Yes, and I'm going to give you some credit. The Director of Health and Human Service, you are very positively act to try to improve the quality of food. I'm going to give you for that, And the mayor's office is well aware of the problem too, So as a price is there, but when you do, as you say, when you have a competitive price, they care about when you price without quality. So this time we should have improved some quality, and the provider is the right way to do it.
Right, so that's why we're moving towards that's what we want to do, the competitive contract, so we can, get a full, evaluation that's beyond cost. And so with each program, so with the congregate lunch program in particular, we want to structure the proposal is so that it can be one company could bid on it or local vendors. We really want to sort of support our local Jersey City businesses who might be better able to, service the senior, especially more locally, because that's one thing I think the food traveling, even though it only travels from Kearney, that's still, it's on the truck and it's sitting there for a while, and a little bit of time that kind of starts to degrade the quality and the vegetables starts to, that dull color to them, things like that. So if we can get folks that are a little bit closer, that could also help improve the quality and also just be more conscious of ethnic preferences and things like that. So we're hoping to get a diversity of vendors from Jersey City, different caterers or restaurants who might bid on the proposal.
Okay.
Yeah, we've met with several vendors who are in Jersey City. Especially with the congregate lunch program. We'll see what happens with Meals on Wheels. It's a little bit different because that program we do the frozen meals. So having the ability to do that is slightly different. But we're hopeful that we'll have some other vendors that are out there that will be able to meet our needs on that as well.
Great, thank you.
Okay, thank you, Angela.
Great, thank you.
Stacy has 10Z7, 10Z11.
So 10Z7, do you want me to read it or you want to read it,
It's
Robert?
enabling resolution authorizing execution of a grant agreement and acceptance of a grant award from the National League of Cities.
So this particular grant is an extension of work that started under Brian David Platt.
That's me.
With our Vista volunteers who did some emergency preparedness backpacks in some of the housing locations across the city. The extension is getting a little bit of money from the National League of Cities. We're one of 10 cities across the country that are part of this program to look at resiliency in our community in a different way. And doing a survey, engaging some of the local neighborhood associations in that process to see what they feel their community needs in that backpack and what their vision of resiliency is. So we've talked to the Downtown Neighborhood Association, the Block Association team, I Love Greenville, Riverview Neighborhood Association, and others. So a lot of the SIDs we've included as well, to give them a mini grant to help us with the surveys in their community. So when there's an event at part of their neighborhood association, we can garner some information and then give out some emergency preparedness backpacks and information. So we're going to host a small meeting with that team in the middle of April, and we'll get technical assistance throughout the year from the National League of Cities. And then the final component of the grant is to provide some tools to parents and students at the back to school event at Liberty State Park. So we'll do sort of work all summer with neighborhood organizations, and then we kick back to school and do some work with the parents and school kids.
Okay, any questions?
No.
Next item is 10Z11.
It's complicated.
Authorizing the execution of an agreement with the State of New Jersey to develop and implement a lead reduction plan for Jersey City.
So I think you all know about our child lead poisoning prevention program, our CLEP work. This past year we received $1 million from the state to do this work, but we didn't ask for $1 million. We asked for $800,000 because that's the staffing we have, and they gave us more money than we needed, and then started looking that we haven't been spending this money as quickly as they hoped because we're having difficulty finding Arabic-speaking nurses. We've interviewed several and seem to can't pay them what they feel they're worth. So we've been struggling on the HR front with compensation. And so we need Arabic-speaking nurses to do nurse case management plans. The majority of our individuals in the city that have blood lead levels that are high, that need monitoring, speak Arabic.
Why is that?
It is because cultural norms. So in communities where kohl is used, so most Egyptian families use kohl as makeup. Kohl carries lead. They use it throughout their pregnancy. The child is born with a high blood lead level. This is where we look to see, this is also an issue in Indian communities with Curry in the city of Newark. They passed a resolution to remove items off shelves in bodegas to have them tested for lead. We would like to move there. We haven't yet, but that would include things like curries and kumkum and incense and food. Yeah, but if it's made or in a community where they add colorant to it, like many things that come to us through, slip through the FDA because they're small enough to be detected, which is why during Halloween we're often out there kind of talking about not using candies from other countries and not ordering through magazines that kind of engage a lot of lead fulfillment. This is a problem in our city. When the senator made some edits to the federal law and announced it in Jersey City related to housing. Housing's not the issue here. Water is not the issue here. The issue is, our highest lead cases are in C and D, and where families are living with these particular cultural norms, and we need people to talk to their families about making changes, and that's not a place where someone like me is a credible messenger. So we've been looking for nurses that speak the language of the people that we're serving. Anyway, in this philosophy, the state has engaged with Sustainable Jersey to create a comprehensive environmental plan using Jersey City as a model and piloting something in Jersey City, but to spend the money and add to the current work that Sustainable Jersey does in engaging other cities across the state to, implement a testing program. And so to add to it, and I don't know if you know everything about Sustainable Jersey, but Sustainable Jersey is sort of an arm through the College of New Jersey that engages municipalities to do more sustainable work. We win awards every year from Sustainable Jersey because not only are we doing work in the health department, but in planning and innovation. And so all of those things gain you points. And so they would like to add a whole series of points around lead testing, implementation, and abatement. And we're doing that here in the city, but we're also doing that in partnership with the county because the county had won a federal HUD grant to look at abatement, and our partners on that are PACO and the county Department of Housing, and then Hudson County Regional. So this is a significant amount of money to give to Sustainable Jersey, but in the end, we would be the pilot site and be able to use the funding that we have to better the issue of lead poisoning in the state.
Okay.
All right.
Let me ask you a question. What about nursing schools?
So we've been working very closely with the nursing school. In fact, I sit on the advisory board at both nursing programs. Arabic speakers are getting paid to start almost $100,000 a year in New York City. That's an RN, and here we pay BSNs $80. So we pushed, and HR worked with us just because there's some union issues around a BSN versus an RN. It's the same civil service title, but it shouldn't be. And they said we can go ahead, and we offered up to $85,000. We interviewed a ton of nurses over the last 3 months, and really haven't had anyone interested. We made 3 offers.
Students don't even want to.
Well, students don't qualify. The state doesn't allow us. They must be an RN. In the past, it had to be a BSN. They changed that because we couldn't find bachelor level nurses that, were still working in a municipality making what our nurses make. So I think the compensation study's been helpful, and Mark and Brian have been really helpful in trying to figure out how do we pay people what they're worth and get them here. It's just that New York is 10 minutes away, and there's big hospitals there that are paying big money.
Okay. Council members, any questions? Anything else? Oh, Stacy, I should just, Councilor Robinson informed the council about the
Yes, I saw
cancellation of the
that
food.
email, yes.
So what's the plan going forward there?
I believe we're having a meeting on Wednesday. We made it very clear to both Michelle Massey and Julian Sargent Allen, who were on the call with us, that we're really interested in having someone engage a way for staff to find places to eat, especially if they're not meat eaters. And Michelle and Julian told us they were going to come up with a plan. Is that how we left it? And we're going to meet on Wednesday.
Yes, sir.
Jermaine?
Yeah, I mean, I don't know if they said they was gonna come up with their own plan or that we needed to come up with a plan.
But the point is, I can't come up with a plan because I'm the health department, so I can't.
So we're going to incorporate some options into the container village, which is being constructed now. There'll be both space for food trucks, which is going to be a whole other discussion, and also some the shipping containers themselves to be able to sell some stuff out of. So that'll be probably a good start, and we can think about some of that.
Yeah.
Okay. I mean, we just gotta talk to the director because, even with the food trucks, then, I think it's
Bad idea.
probably the same, thing that's going on with
Yeah, that's fair.
the food. Like, it's
Yeah.
gonna be
So-
people coming
Right,
from
but she doesn't
outside,
wanna-
that if she
That's
doesn't
fair.
want that, then
The containers themselves, though, are going to be managed by Jackson Hill, so they will say who goes in those.
Yeah, I think the issue was they really, Michelle really asked for a percentage of how many people from her SID would be invited, and the FUDA kept saying, well, it really depends on what the people want to eat. And that wasn't really, that didn't match. So obviously, and what I said on the call was, yes, across the street, there's a great soul food place, but you can't, like, health-wise, you can't eat that every day.
Well, it depends.
Yeah, well, it
They cook
depends.
healthy, Stacey.
Yeah.
You know,
Some
it's
people
not
cook it healthy, but there's some people that
But you can't
won't eat.
assume that.
Oh,
That's what
I'm
I'm
not
assuming.
assuming that. I make my own meals. My
Okay.
staff have
Because when you
concerns,
say it's not
and
healthy, I think that's not right, because I cook soul food, I'm healthy, and I cook it healthy, I
So-
just want that clear.
yes, very clear. All food in moderation is healthy if it's food.
Right.
I think noted the food establishment right in front of the health department is a place where many staff don't want to solicit.
So, question. I guess I'm trying to figure out what is the difference between, I guess, having a lack of food options or maybe a lack of desired food options at the annex in Linden Avenue East, DPW.
Well,
that has
Linden
nothing
Avenue
around
East
it.
invites a food vendor there every day, and if you go there, we cannot do that. We're the health department.
When you
We
say food
regulate-
vendor, not like food, like they have it like.
They
catering.
have a food truck come in every day, rolls right into the garage. And we cannot invite anyone there, which is why we were seeking a third party to do that. We regulate all agencies, so we cannot invite one agency over another into our space. They have, and they can, and they do. And so I think the difference is my staff don't have that kind of overtime and don't have that flexible schedule. Many of them are in the office, want a quick bite to eat, and they go to, by the time they get to the extra, what they might be looking for has been sold out. That is probably their main food source. And those that regulate it have their own opinions. So, I mean, we also are a staff of people that are encouraging others to, like, not eat meat every day and, you know, look at Meatless Mondays and, you know, not have donuts. And so these kind of conflict to some of them. I am merely representing, like, what my staff come to me with. So yes, this happens everywhere, right? Except here. So staff that work here can walk out and get a slice of pizza. My staff cannot do that because there is no pizza 1 block away or 2 blocks away or 3 blocks away.
it's a pizza 2.5. Jimmy's, he's been there for 40 years.
Not only that, we have Uber Eats, I mean, people do it.
So I would like everyone to try to find One Jackson Square on your phone right now. But the point is that Uber Eats is the same issue. We're not moving forward. They don't go
anywhere.
Let's,
They can order in.
All right.
They can order.
You can't order. That's
You know, it's Uber Eats.
But is it just
Okay.
the health department, like the building?
I think it's just like, I don't know,
hear you.
that common.
No, I'm just saying, is it just
I didn't-
the
I
health
was saying
department
that's
that's
the
having that
closest
issue?
Okay, I can't hear Councilperson
No,
Ritter.
you said it wasn't healthy. That's what you said, Stacey.
I said it's not always healthy.
You said it wasn't healthy, then you retracted. But that's what you said.
I was just asking, have we spoken to the other departments at the annex to see if they're having similar issues? Is this an annex-wide issue, or is it because they're the health
Can you speak
department?
to this?
They're trying to be healthy because
Yeah,
they're the health.
I can speak to it as well. I mean, I have to bring my lunch every day. There's no-
Yeah, go up there. You can
Oh,
get
sorry. Sorry.
So I would say a couple things. I mean, I say that we definitely, at the annex area, we do need healthier, many just other food options, right? So like, I don't know if we're allowed to name what's across the street, but major fast food chain, well known, is across the street. And then there's not really any other, options for eating your lunch. For me, I bring my lunch every day. Also, one of the purposes of, I think, of us being in this area, in this underserved neighborhood in the Bergen Lafayette area, was that we were, as a health department, we're supposed to kind of inspire healthier food options to come to the neighborhood, so that people in the neighborhood also would have other healthier food options that they could choose from as well. So that's been my, thought of, why we also are in that neighborhood and why we're, trying to spur more development and healthier food options for people in the neighborhood, as well as the employees who are at the annex. So I've not been to the restaurant that you're referring to, so I don't know what they offer, but I definitely feel like, in general, we do need other options.
I was there Friday. I think it was very good.
Okay.
Cabbage, some mac and cheese.
But yeah, I think just like again for everyone in the community, more choices. I think is what everyone needs, and healthier and better preparation. Than
So if HHS can't do it, then the business administrator assign someone to bring some food trucks over there. And
Well, I mean, the issue with the food trucks noted, but so we're actively working with Jackson Hill and with the council people to make sure that we're putting the right stuff in the container. I think that's a good first start. We'll see where that goes.
Yeah, so we've been talking, just trying to figure out our way through to make sure that, because the SIDs kind of dictate what trucks, or if any trucks could come up there on Martin Luther King, and it was one of the things they didn't really want trucks up there because they was saying the local businesses next door, right? Because you're gonna go to that restaurant right across the street and they're gonna complain that you're putting food trucks right behind their restaurant, which is gonna cut their.
That abuts the container village that we're trying to incorporate into the container village itself by working with them to get their smoker and different things. So.
Can I say something?
No. We don't give save and whatever.
This kind of issue, I bring up the issue when they talk about city on annex building. Everybody has a good intention, but if you understand the street, they should not come up there just dream plan. So when we talk about the food carrying business, I clearly say that this council make sure discuss with Jacksonville SID to make sure they use the local vendors, not food trucks. When you don't even mention that you're going to put the food truck in the city annex building, then they're going to have a paste of all the eating place in those areas. Don't even dream. Only key is that whatever carrying service business the company, we have to put like a peer agreement. 60% of food provided must have to purchase with the local vendors. Simple.
I opened up this can of worms. Put the lid back on.
Yes, please.
Okay, thank you.
Let's move on.
Did you
All
get a
right.
question answered?
Andrew's been very patient here.
Here's what I was having a similar.
3D, F, G, and H.
Good evening, Council.
3D, F, G, and H.
3.
D, F, G, and H.
Michael, you have to go to
Hey.
3D is an exciting ordinance, I would say. It establishes angled parking on Mercer Street adjacent to our building. I guess the impetus was potentially installing electric vehicle charging stations, which the location is still to be determined. It might actually be on Montgomery Street. However, we would still be gaining 8 parking spaces, so regardless of where the charging stations may go, we still want to proceed with that. And this would be the first location in the city with reverse angled parking. This is a different type of angled parking. This is, instead of driving head in, you drive past the space and back into it, almost like your parallel parking.
Yes, they have it in Hoboken as well.
Is it safe with the public?
It's much safer
Much
because
safer?
because the well, first it's easier to pull in, and second it's you have better sight lines for vehicles approaching you. So you know everyone has pulled out of an angled parking space before. You're kind of looking over your shoulder for like 5 minutes trying to inch out. This is much safer.
I just got another comment. So we talked a few meetings ago about some parking changes at City Hall, and we're almost done with that. I apologize for the delays, it's taking a little longer. About reserving parking spaces after hours for council aides and council members and members of boards, and it's almost done. Some things take a little longer than they should, but we'll update soon on that.
Councilman Solomon.
Like enforcing the backing in first, because I think everyone's probably gonna, initially go head first in, and what are your thoughts on how we can, actually get people to comply with that rule?
Yeah, it's something where there are certainly people that aren't going to comply at the beginning. What a lot of other cities do is they just have some descriptive signage located along the block, kind of illustrating how the parking will occur. And also another, benefit of piloting this at City Hall is we can place some city vehicles that are parked correctly, which would sort of kind of guide people in how they should be parking.
So are you responsible for the signage, Andrew? Or?
We would work with DPW to fabricate and install the signage.
Okay, next
and
item.
Three charging stations?
So we're still working on the locations. We're working with PSE&G to make sure we can draw adequate power to the spots and not spend too much money like cutting up streets and pulling lines from all these places. And it doesn't look like Mercer is going to be the most optimal location for these stations just based on where the existing power is under the street. But we'll keep everyone posted on those and the other stations too.
Okay.
That's also taking a lot longer than we thought. So yeah, that's new.
All right.
Go for it. 3F.
All right, 3F is an ordinance that essentially formalizes an existing no parking area in front of a relatively new residential building at the intersection of Sussex Street and Van Voorst Street. The no parking area would be on Sussex Street, the dead end of Sussex Street specifically.
Okay, next item.
3G is an ordinance that converts the intersection of Hutton Street with Cambridge Avenue to an all-way stop intersection. This was referred to my office by Councilman Yun's office. We took a look at the crash history. It greatly exceeded the federal guidelines, and so we proposed to establish it as all-way stop control.
Okay, Council, last item.
3H is an ordinance also establishing all-way stop at the intersection of Bright Street and Barrack Street. We didn't conduct any thorough study for this. State law allows us to establish any intersection within 500 feet of a school as an all-way stop control.
This board at Council Robinson stepped out of the plan. Whenever this is done, we should alert East District immediately because we want to have someone out there just to make sure everyone knows it's at school. People are going to, not going to use the traffic pattern. I just need to see if we can put someone out there.
Great.
In the mornings. So, they get people start to learn.
Good to have one.
Nominate Barca to do that. Yeah, just stand out there.
All set?
All set. Thank you.
Thank you very much.
Thanks for your patience. Okay, I guess from the top.
From the top.
All right, you want to make it?
I woke up. First page is all done, the resolution ordinances. 3I, an ordinance amending chapter
No,
9.
we have 3E.
3E, yeah. So,
Oops, slip.
sorry, I had a couple people cancel from tonight. Peter is sick, Peter Bogliano, so I can explain this very quickly. 30 questions. So essentially this authorizes the city to acquire a sort of like a credit card for municipal purchases. Instead of having to fill out an NC voucher and have somebody pay on their own card and then fill out this form and keep the receipts, it just streamlines that whole thing. The process we will use is the purchasing director, Peter, will be the one holding this card. He will be the only one with the card for now. And all the purchases will get approved by him, then purchased with the card by him. So it's not like someone just gets the number and buys whatever they want. So it still goes through the same approvals. It's just that it eliminates a lot of that paperwork that we have to do. So that's really it.
But just to make sure that, you know, accountability is the issue.
And we get hotel points, so, no, I'm kidding, we don't. You're great with it. You're
Can we have one of each?
Folks, so Peter is the only access to this?
Yeah.
Delgado. So in terms of, I mean, if the purchase is done for another department or division or something like that, then it still gets credited to their
It gets
account.
right, exactly, yeah. So it would be credited and booked based on the expense. Would have a number on the like account summary. Yeah, it would be accounted for that way. Yeah.
Is there an audit, like, is there a procedure in place to kind of audit this and make sure it is accounted for? Nothing. I have no concerns about Peter Falgado. I'm just.
So it's as with any purchase where it would have to go through the same procurement controls of based on the amount of the purchase and the types of things we're allowed to buy. It has to go through that same approval. It shows up in the budgets for whatever department or division it is, and the council would see all the purchases come through. Like in the claims list, it just would be purchased instead of an NC voucher. You'd be using the card, just the paperwork thing.
But just to make
What I mean is, I'm sorry, unauthorized purchases. So, I mean, people steal numbers, right?
Oh, I see what you're saying.
Right?
Yeah. Yeah.
So,
yeah.
Can I ask a question?
Yeah.
And probably amount-wise is, if we yield is a lot, do they get the mileage so we can send the business to administration like a sum application free no charge?
Yeah.
Or actually, we can use that as a merit service. So one of the year of the employee so-and-so, free airplane ticket to go on vacation.
Yeah, I was joking about this before, but I don't think we get any miles or points. I don't recall. I'll get that information from Peter. I believe it's like a credit, or I'll get that. I'll get exactly the credits that we get.
But make sure there's a credit debit. We can do that based on the mileage, so we can do it at least once a year. City employee with our city also send us application.
We can put the miles towards the reservoir we have, right?
Okay, you can do that too.
Okay.
You mustn't like basketball, Councilman. 3I, ordinance, amending chapter 90, animals and animal facilities of the Jersey City Code.
I can talk about this one. There have been recent changes to the state law, which made animal cruelty an offense under the criminal code. So therefore, because it's an offense specifically found in the criminal code, we can no longer have it as an offense under our ordinance. It's not to say it's not being prosecuted, it's actually being prosecuted at a more significant level, because there's an indictable animal cruelty, as well as a disorderly person's animal cruelty that would be, that offense would be prosecuted in municipal court. It's not a matter of we're not prosecuting it, we're actually prosecuting at a higher level and taking it more seriously under the state criminal code. So by eliminating this line of our ordinance, please don't think that we're not taking animal cruelty seriously. It's quite the opposite that is true.
And who would enforce the new state rules around this?
Well, there's a specific prosecutor that each county has to designate, which is appointed at the county level. And also, any law enforcement officer can always write a ticket under the 2C as well.
Any local law enforcement?
Any local law enforcement can write a ticket under the 2C, but there's a specific prosecutor that's designated as being the animal cruelty prosecutor at the county level.
Lock them up.
Questions, Council?
No. Put in an animal bed, lock them up.
Okay, next item.
Okay, it's the ordinance. Councilman Solomon is proposing exempting charitable organizations.
Which one?
From licensing.
3J.
Something about Girl Scouts.
For the sale of prepackaged goods.
So, yeah, can you explain this, because I've made a lot of concern about it myself.
Sure.
And the business community, actually, I get the
So the 3J, basically, I guess some Girl Scout troops had reached out about selling their cookies, and just trying to make sure that everything was done appropriately. And in going through the health department and the law department, this was the proposal that came back in terms of amending the current laws to allow for nonprofit organizations, 501c3s, and there's a resolution as well to basically sell their goods without having to pay the certain licensing and peddler fees. So
What's the difference between this one and the resolution for the Girl Scouts?
for the girls specifically,
Well, the resolution's immediate.
yes.
Because the resolution will be passed on Wednesday, will go into effect Wednesday. The ordinance, obviously, would take 2 weeks. I'm not, my kids are not old enough, but I understand this is prime cookie time.
Yes, it is.
So in order to avoid having the 2-week delay, that's the reason for the resolution, to make the council clear to the health department what your intentions are. The ordinance would then change the law moving forward forever. For everyone. And Councilman, it's specific to prepackaged goods, so it's not, you can't bake cookies and sell them, that's gotta be prepackaged. It has to be a 501c3 charitable organization. Those are the 2 requirements.
So now, this is we have, when you citywide, maybe downtown is not much problem, but if we come up Central Avenue or West Side Avenue, even Journal Square, like a Saturday, Sunday, they come up from some church, they sell the pre-packed food on the street. So really this is a serious problem, that not only the problem is that what problem is a public safety issue, public health issue. If something has a food that poisoned it, well, food has some issue, they have no city of just can able to track down. So licensing is one of the ways city have record about each vendors who do that, the business or any charitable activity at the public street, but city of Jersey knows that. But if we do that, the way that waive those things, then city of Jersey open the public street to where Wild Wild West, we have no way to track down. So if that's the problem, maybe we waive the license fee for the 501c3, you know what I'm saying? But at least their license, get the licensing without license fee, we know who's doing streets, what they're doing, protect our public safety and the health. But if we just open like this one, you come in Saturday, Nick, and so many people sell the pre-pack already.
So you want them to apply for, you want these Girl Scouts to apply for a loan?
No. They can apply, but no licensing fee, just at least the city knows that, waive the fee, but not open. You know what I'm saying?
Well, Councilman, it's a policy discussion for the council.
Yeah,
it's up to
that's
you.
why.
We drafted, I was letting you know what the ordinance says and what the resolution says.
If you form a committee, you can tackle that if you want.
So I have a question. Let's say I have a 501c3, so I have packaged goods. What's to stop me from going over to Central Avenue, pull out a cart, and just sell my packaged good in front of any establishment over there?
There's a problem, you know what I'm saying?
So it's for your charitable organization.
Right, so
I think you
what's
have to go
this?
back and look at, there's 2 different sections that are affected, and I know this just peripherally, but, well, first you gotta start out with, if you're doing it for the Girl Scouts, you have to do it for everyone else, right? So you could just pass a resolution and say this year for the Girl Scouts, where people are gonna be watching it. So if you do it for the Girl Scouts, you have to do it for everybody else, but I think you would have to go back and look, and I'm not familiar with it, but the ordinance is affecting 2 different sections of the code, and there may very well be other provisions there that hold people accountable. I don't know for a fact that simply because you're waiving the fee and the license under either one or both of those, that there's no other accountability. So that's something, it's a good question, and you're right, but you have to go back and look and ensure that there's still other accountability in those ordinances. And I don't know off the top of my head whether there is or there's not, but there may very well be.
So when you see
We have to look at.
when you see that the 245-2 and the B123, those people already licensing or City of Jersey Health Department inspect the facility to produce that any food pre-packed so and so. But if we do 4, we're in trouble, really. So my thing is this one. I know that Councilman James Solomon is a green patient, trying to help with the 501c non-profit organization. They continue to provide their goodwill to the community. So I agree 100%, but we should be not jeopardize the public safety, public health issue. So if they just come up, call the health department, the licensing, commerce licensing, okay, waive the fee. But if they really want to do those kind of good things for the community, just go fill out the one form under the internet, to waive the fee, so at least the city knows that who sell what kind of merchandise on the street. You know what I'm saying? But if we take out those things,
Yeah, I don't know that what you said, you gotta look at the section, because there may be other provisions there, or you can do that also. But if you're talking about prepackaged, do you really go in and check to see?
No.
on any
Girl
product?
Scouts are all over this city right now.
It's like Girl Scouts. You open it on the package.
already, no, we're not talking about the Girl Scout. Yes, not Girl Scout, but if he's coming there, the busy this Saturday, you will see, they come with a band.
So, was there something that sparked this? Like, did somebody tell the Girl Scouts to leave, or?
Well, I think some folks emailed, so I think there are people who just do it, and then I think there are folks who emailed and like, they're like, tell me if I can do this, and once they're like more formal, like technically it's not allowed under the rules. So it wasn't like someone was banned from doing it, but it was the folks trying to properly follow the rules and reached out and asked for analysis. So yeah, so why don't I take a more in-depth look before Wednesday at the section and give you a little bit more detail on what are the current sections requirements, and then we can decide on Wednesday how
To
we
be
want
honest
to
with you,
proceed.
it's just a shame that they actually reached out. The
Right.
Girl Scouts have been selling Girl Scout
Sure.
shirts
100
forever.
years.
I don't know, it's a shame that they actually reached out to actually do something like this, you know? It's,
In a lot of towns, they go on to they'll go to vendors, like they'll say to Home Depot, can I set up on your property?
Right.
And Home Depot says yes, so they don't really have to deal with the
So
state.
this is what is the end of the day.
I saw the guy in my local corner store selling
So
yeah.
we cannot create an ordinance to control every single issue, what happens in human life. But at least those kind of Girl Scouts, like Councilman Solomon say that, pass a resolution. Okay, we understand. So at least we know is that Girl Scout out there sell the prepaid goods or food. We know, you know what I'm saying. So when they have something happen, where'd you get it? Oh, Girl Scouts. So we have information about them. We can check down. But the guy come from the Philadelphia, Pennsylvania, sell the food pre-packed. You know what I'm saying?
Let's not be late. Councilman Solomon's gonna Girl Scout. Take another
But
look.
somebody can bring up the issue Girl Scouts.
Okay.
We'll talk about this.
All right.
All right.
Okay. Let's move on. Let's go. 3K, ordinance amending chapter 307, article 2 of the Jersey Municipal Code to require rideshare vehicles to be equipped with identifying signage.
So great, but legally we can do it?
Yes.
Okay, great. That is great.
There's overlapping state law, but we couldn't pass.
By state law, we can do that.
You know, when you
Folks, one at a time.
When you call for an Uber, they give you a license plate, they give you the driver's name, so I don't see what this problem is. I took a Uber in from Newark Airport the other day, I had the license plate and the name. I see the license plate, I walk up and ask the guy's name, and he tells me. I mean, this is all,
Some question about whether or not in the state
One at a
of New
time.
Jersey, we can do something like this. So can we regulate them in this way?
Yeah, there was a law passed by the state in 2016, signed in 2017, that had a regulatory scheme from the state on the state level. There are a couple specific prohibitions, such as licensing and charging fees that are specifically designated. It specifically says municipalities and counties cannot charge fees, cannot license. But this is a public safety regulation, so it's really outside the scope of that. So I think a reasonable reading of that, this will be permissible.
But my next question that Uber require that the signage by whoever operating in Jersey City or the car registered Jersey, how are they going to be separated? I mean, so like a Uber come from the Uber owners actually live in Bayonne. So the Uber service is not only Jersey City, go to whole county. So how are we going to regulate the guy, drive license and register Bayonne, but they go around the Hudson County all over the place. So whoever operating in Jersey City, they required to have a sign, or Uber driver has a registration, driver license registration, the Jersey City address, or which one is we have to go?
Well, what would happen is if somebody from outside was coming in to do a pickup and didn't have the appropriate signage, like anything else, I think it could be issued.
We can issue. So guys,
sure. If a Bayonne driver came in and didn't follow one of the traffic regulations of Jersey City, they could get a ticket, right? Same concept.
Okay, so in other words, anybody travel in Jersey City must have the sign, period.
Yeah.
You're doing
You get a lot of Ubers from New York.
New York. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, so even though they're licensed in New York and insured by
And
New York State.
any Uber or Lyft car share service, if they operate in Jersey City, they require to have a sign. Clear?
The idea is that we'll receive a list from Uber and Lyft to make sure that those who are registered in New Jersey City have it. But on top of that, it's not a prohibition to say that if someone comes in and violates any traffic law or any ordinance in Jersey City, that they would be exempt because they're from somewhere else.
Well, it can be different.
So I just want to note that this ordinance.
We just want to make sure legally possible to know.
Separate from the signage issue, it updates the language about, in terms of referencing Uber as a transportation network company or a rideshare company. These are all state, from the recent state.
The definition, the phrase transportation network company or rideshare company, that came from the state. So that's where the definitions came from.
And so, I know it was already asked, but to the state has their own laws governing this and legislating, and none of their stuff override our.
They have nothing about signage, it's just about registration, insurance, and fees, right?
There is something about signage, but ours is a little more specific.
And so to the point, are we permitted to do that if the state has their own?
I believe so. Basically, it's upon the fact that you don't have the specific prohibitions of what counties and municipalities cannot do is related to registration, which we definitely could not do, or charges fee, which we definitely could not do. But we're talking about public safety signage. It's not a specific prohibition that's found in the state law.
So the reason I say that when I was in Atlanta, I see the Uber has a small sign, the passenger side with a light.
Yep.
You know, Uber or Lyft. So we want to know, as pass the ordinance, anybody operating the Uber or share service, car share service in Jersey, they need to have a sign, not by their driver license or car registration. Okay, just we want to know. Okay.
All right, and then just one last thing.
Anybody can make up a sign.
More for me to address to the council. So this was not at the agenda meeting?
Yeah, correct.
So, as a matter of course, as a normal procedure around this, like if it's not at the agenda meeting, it doesn't normally make it to the agenda, right? So, I mean, obviously not looking to hold this up, but as a precedent, we don't want to have this be like the regular rule.
This is my fault, I forgot to bring it up.
Okay.
Yeah, no, that's totally my fault.
What's that?
So we have our agenda meeting a week before on Wednesdays, and we typically have everything ready at that meeting, and if something is not ready, we just make it known that there's one more thing or two more things that we're working on, it's still in progress, and I just forgot, I didn't bring it up, so I just forgot to mention it.
I thought I saw this last month on Channel 7.
Very possible that did happen.
Yeah.
Thanks.
Maybe that wasn't
I'm going to be watching Channel 2 in an hour.
Let's go.
Wait, I have a question.
You might have seen it on Instagram Live.
Non-basketball.
So what's the penalty for not having a sign?
$500 fine. So.
Yeah, so standard.
Unenforceable.
The same, the penalty.
The fees are within the normal fee structure for
Ordinance
traffic
violations.
violations.
And who's gonna enforce this?
Policia.
And how are drivers gonna know?
Are you kidding?
I'm sorry?
How are drivers gonna know? Like Young said, if I get pinged, I'm on the border of Jersey City and Mayo. I get pinged to pick up somebody in Jersey City, like I'm just going to pick them up. Like I don't know I need a sign.
Well,
Uber has a headquarters in Hoboken.
And Lyft's office has been in Jersey City. It will be back in Jersey City soon. So you know,
I simply Uber, Lyft, country's headquarters.
Those are the big ones.
City of Jersey have a new ordinance whereby you operate in Jersey must have the signs also.
They're well aware of it already.
To
Yeah.
everybody.
Yeah.
Another one.
Can I ask a couple follow-up questions?
Councilman Solomon?
One is on the legal argument. Can you put that in writing, either email or something, just so I can analyze it?
Sure.
The argument on the permissibility of our regulation. Okay, great. Hold on one second. The second thing is the requirement around the registration on a regular basis. So, you know, obviously the nature this business is you're having lots of different cars. You're gonna have cars from New York coming in, cars from other parts of New Jersey. How do we anticipate these different companies providing, regular updates to the city on exactly who's coming in and coming out, as well as does the state law have any like data sharing requirements one way or the other?
I'm not familiar with any data sharing requirements from the state.
Okay.
I can look into that.
Yeah.
I think the idea is that the state law does create some sort of a digital network, and maybe Brian, you know more about it than I do. But I think the idea is to try and make this a more automated system so that way it's more instantaneously available. And I think that's the intent.
Okay, there's an automated system where they would be able to give us the data of driver X is here. And do we anticipate like who in our city is going to be the one kind of compiling the data on who's operating?
Yeah, I'm not sure yet.
Limited and tax commerce.
So Commerce does oversee the taxis and limos and that sort of stuff. So and they have been handling a lot of the complaints we get from Uber and Lyft, or rideshare. So it's possibly going to go there, but we haven't sort of finalized that.
Do we anticipate doing that prior to?
Yeah, sure.
And I guess the last argument, and this is the argument, I guess I'm just interested in what you guys think as a colleague. Uber / was Uber, I guess who made this argument, is that they think it may be counterproductive in the sense of like, obviously this is responding to the specific tragic situation in South Carolina. But they're saying if someone were intent on an ill behavior, that having a license might make it easier for them to sort of fake as if, the trade beacon, fake as if they're real versus relying on the license plate. And I'm just wondering what we think of that.
Here's the problem, South Carolina, North Carolina, there's no front plates. So as I'm standing in the airport in Charlotte, car comes up, there's no front plate, and I walk around to the back to see.
It's true.
And then ask the guy, what's his name? And I was doing that before this girl was killed.
So the business administrator, actually Uber, Lyft have a safety system they build. When you ride in the Uber, they can able to do share with you their riding situation. I mean, the way they move. If they put you their wife's email to share with you your ride, then whatever you're moving, send information go to your wife or girlfriend. Oh no, your case is wife, not the girlfriend. And they go the information to the baby in the same time. So really your wife knows that minute you get in the Uber, she knows where you are. You know,
you can track it. By your phone.
Share it.
Yes, you can track it.
They build up the safety concern. I mean, the system in their software already.
Right.
Yeah, understood. It's just an added layer of safety. It's just a user convenience thing.
But when I see that Atlanta, it's a good idea.
Yeah, it's certainly not the only thing that we should be doing to ensure safety. It's one of several, and some of them are already in place, and this is just one of them that we're trying to make sure is
Okay.
Yeah.
Okay, council members, second reading ordinances, 4C, Joe Cunha will be there. For the rest of these items, for the administration.
That's fine.
You got them?
Yep.
We only have 5.
Yep.
3 are.
I just want to make sure, otherwise you got to bring in the traffic folks for 4A to 4D, and then 4E, I'm not sure who that would be, it's an agreement with.
I'll handle that, I'm not worried. Yep.
All right, just noting that we're going to do the historic downtown SID and special improvement district.
Wait, is that the exchange place?
No.
No,
Tell
because
you, you'll be ready.
Don't we have one in here for the downtown and the exchange place?
Downtown and Central Ave, that's it.
Sorry.
Okay.
All right, from the top of resolutions.
Yep.
Resolution authorizing an emergency temporary appropriation. B and C involve the ratification and acceptance of the budget and assessment role of the historic downtown SID. We did D earlier, remember to abstain on Wednesday, Councilman. E through F authorize,
E through G.
E through G authorize the BA to execute discharges of mortgages at 133 Cottage, 98 Myrtle, and 133 Van Horn Street. Motion. H removing the affordability restrictions pursuant to the Affordable Housing Agreement dated May 14th, 1999, affecting property at 224 Whiten Street. I is a resolution authorizing the lien against the properties listed for the cost of removing from the property's brush, weeds, dead and dying trees, stumps, roots, noxious growths, filth, garbage, litter, and debris.
This one is already, we noticed them, right?
It's the same that we did the last meeting. There were just more properties. This is the last batch of them.
Okay. And we noticed the property owner, right?
Yes.
Yeah.
We're now to 10N, authorizing the sale of a beat-up fire truck to the city of Newark.
And it's actually, sorry, you want to...
There's a replacement sheet for everyone.
Yeah,
But
see.
initially, there's a little confusion on the vernacular. We initially thought it was a ladder as in just the ladder, but actually it's a ladder truck. Okay, so the change sheet just clarifies that it's actually, we're giving the ladder truck to Newark for $1, selling it to them for $1, because theirs was damaged and ours was going to go for scrap.
Okay, so
Hold on.
why are we doing that?
Yeah.
They had an issue with one of their ladder trucks, and they have an emergent need for the ladder device itself. And so we're...
So they're a much bigger city than us.
Yeah.
They keep saying it.
They do have URC grants that they can apply for a year in advance.
Sure.
You have an OEM department that they can take in, that URC grants can be applied a year in advance.
Yeah.
My problem with this is two things. Is this an operational ladder truck? And if it is...
No, it's scrap. We were just gonna toss it. Basically, we were gonna get a couple $1,000.
Oh, so they just... So our ladder truck is not gonna be Newark fighting fire?
No. They're only gonna take some pieces of it off.
Cannibalize it.
Yeah.
A junkyard.
Yeah, right. And they're getting these pieces way faster than they would if they were applying for grants or buying a new piece of equipment. They're gonna get it, months faster. So
I'll bet you we see it on fire in Newark. Come on. Get to Jersey.
Okay.
So I think Brian answered my question, because I was saying if it's damaged, then why would they want it? But you're saying we're giving them an entire truck and they're gonna take pieces.
They're gonna take the ladder mechanism. Yeah, the ladder and the mechanism is related to the ladder itself, not the
way
truck.
old downtown used to be.
We've already stripped off all the stuff we need. Like there are no air packs on it. There's no anything that's usable that we need we've kept. It's just scrap metal at this point, so they're just taking it.
Who wants to take bets?
Yeah.
Okay. 10P, approving the participation.
We're gonna pull this one. There's a bunch of corrections on that one that we need to make. 10P.
All right.
Drawing.
Q,
It'll come back.
contract with Kruger International for the purchase, delivery, and installation of office furniture for HEDC, Housing Preservation, Office of Housing Code Enforcement, Office of Landlord-Tenant Relations, and the Division of Community Development through the Middlesex Regional Educational Services Commission.
So, why are we, I guess, more furniture for the annex?
Oh, sorry, I can speak on this. So, this is for the second building at the annex. The contractor who's building the site, Brandywine, is actually going to reimburse us for all the costs of this, so it's built into the cost. We get a better deal through our purchasing co-ops, so we save like 50% on the cost of the furniture if we buy it, and then they reimburse us. So that's the plan for this.
Got it.
This building is scheduled to open June or July or so depending on how quickly it goes. By doing this now, we'll hopefully get all this furniture by the beginning of June.
Okay, R, an agreement with Metropolitan Life Insurance Company to provide life insurance for non-management employees as an extraordinary unspecified service. As we did, 10T is awarding the contract to Verizon Business Networks, Verizon Select Services for data communication network services for the Department of Public Safety Communications Center. U is authorizing the award of contract to Software House International Corp. for the purchase and implementation of a tax application software for the tax collector's office under state contract funded by the Department of Administration.
Can you guys explain, I guess, the need for this purchase?
Yeah, we right now have a closed system that is built by a single vendor who has to like manually make all the changes to it. It's not open, it's not flexible, the maintenance is a challenge. It's a decade old or more, I can't remember exactly when we got the existing system. This new system is much more accountable, there's a lot better oversight and tracking. It'll also allow us to handle the payroll tax, which this old system won't let us do. So there are a lot of administrative improvements and efficiencies with this new system. Right now, anytime there is an issue with the old system, we have to call the vendor and he has to go and manually go in and find things and move stuff around. The new system is much more user-friendly for our employees and it'll help things out a lot.
Do you want to talk about 10U?
10U.
So this is Edmonds?
Yeah, Edmonds.
So now,
It's on the
say $29,000 for the software is per year, or this is just a purchase license, after that they have a yearly license fee? What is this one, 229?
I believe it says in there that, let me just confirm what the future years are going to cost.
Yes, because
I'll get that info.
229,000, the initial.
If it's not in there, I'll confirm, yeah.
Yeah, because
Yeah.
I read that.
There is some cost to install in the beginning. It'll take a few months to get it going, so hopefully by the summer it'll be installed so we can handle the third quarter bills. That's when we get a lot of the, when we send the bills out in the end of the summer, early fall.
Okay.
Why is the tax collector not here?
Yeah, she couldn't make it. I submitted.
Okay. So my concern is that I spoke to a tax professional about this. That Newark had the Edmonds system as well, and they scrapped it to take the H&L system, which, as my understanding, is what we have in place here.
Interesting.
I was told that the H&L system also has, which the Edmonds system doesn't have, a pilot module for pilot tax abatements module that Edmonds doesn't have, I was told.
That's the opposite of what we've experienced.
Okay.
So, yeah, we don't have a really good way to track the pilots in H&L. We will have a good way to do that in addition to the payroll tax in Edmonds. Edmonds is in like 150 or so municipalities across the state. I'm not sure how many H&Ls in, but not that many.
So if you see that their proposal,
yeah,
item 7, there were price list, the product in 7, a custom development, abatement, other logic, not to exceed. You know, so in other words, their package is not have a tax abatement, some kind of management things on. They have to be custom development they require. That's why we pay $55,000 extra.
Yeah, the same would be the case for H&L, except the reporting and the oversight of these systems is much more streamlined and highly accountable compared to what H&L was providing.
So this is the key.
Yeah.
Any software package, when you purchase that, we must have to get at least 1 year's satisfaction guaranteed.
Okay.
We try to 1 year. If we're not satisfied, then we can terminate it, or we can get some refund. You know what I'm saying? Because some software, what they say is great, but while we're using, we have HR department with bad experience. You know that, right?
Yeah, I'm not sure that's something we can legally do under the state contract, like a refund based on a satisfaction guarantee. But let me actually confirm that.
Yes, please. They have a certain period of time they have to guarantee it because HR department software has some issue. Okay, issue. So we have a
So I want to bring up something again that the tax collector mentioned at a prior meeting, was that New Jersey's tax laws are a little different than other places, so we don't get the same level of competition that we would that other states get. So we don't have as many options typically. So this is one of a couple. You know, maybe not everyone is the best of the best, but you know, from what we've seen and from what we've been recommended, this is going to work really well for us. Also, it's been recommended by others in other municipalities.
Yeah, it's $29,000 money. So.
Yeah, it is. That's true. That's fair.
V, the resolution clarifying the exemption from licensing requirements for the sale of goods applying to charitable organizations such as the Girl Scouts of America under both Article 1.
We did this.
Yeah, we did.
There's a accompanying resolution.
Oh, I'm sorry.
Yeah. We talked about the ordinance. This is the accompanying resolution. W W is the settlement of an action entitled Anastasia Allen via the City of Jersey City. X.
Everyone should receive the settlement memo on that.
10W. So our load plan to very well, the business continuity level. Central Avenue need really streetscape project. As I understand already, 4 or 5 outstanding litigation regarding for unsafe sidewalk situation, so please. All right, so business admission, we have to look into streetscaping capital improvement fund. All right.
Wait, okay.
I know, it's about the
X is a resolution approving the appointment of the members of the Community Advisory Board for the Open Space Trust Fund. Y and Z were done earlier. Z1 is an agreement with John Curley for specialized land use matters. We've used him forever. Z2, a law firm of Netrick, Neiman Hillman, to represent police officer Morton Otundo in the matter of Jonathan Sanders versus the City of Jersey City et al. Z4, a resolution commemorating the life and times of Sergeant Marcellus S. Brown Sr.
Yeah.
Oh, an agreement with the law firm of Brady Greenan to represent Joseph Menendez and Mark Petrucelli in the matter of Vanessa Gross via the City of Jersey City.
In Z2 and Z3, the city law department is retaining representation of the city as the individual defendants that are being put out to outside counsel for potential conflict reasons.
Z5, a resolution celebrating Bishop Designate Dr. Joshua Rodriguez. Z6 is accepting the tax assessor's recommendation on an appeal to exclude certain property in the West Side Special Improvement District. Z8 is ratifying the award of a contract with the Jersey City Medical Center to provide basic life support.
So this should not have made the agenda yet, so I don't think it's actually in the packet, but we're withdrawing it. We just need to review and confirm.
Z8?
Z8, yeah.
Yes.
We need to renew it, but we need to speak to the medical center and just talk.
Thank you very much. Yeah. Because when we give the first-time contract for PRS ambulance, you know, okay. I know, everybody knows that.
It's withdrawn?
Withdrawn, yeah.
Okay.
And tip off.
Yeah. Also,
Z9?
I need to withdraw Z9. I just need to check one more thing. I apologize.
Not a problem.
Yeah.
I'm sorry, before we proceed, I'm sorry. So if Z9 is being withdrawn, then 10U, which I assume comes from her, right?
Yeah.
Shouldn't she,
Yeah, should we? What? No, Z8 and Z9. If you want to withdraw, that's fine. That's fine. We can wait on that too.
Okay.
Right. Z8 and Z9, right?
Just, I need,
So U is withdrawn, we're up to Z10, we're very close to getting out of here.
We did 10, we did 10.
We did 10, so the only one is left. 2 weeks from now, we're gonna have a closed caucus in this room on the 22nd at 4:30 p.m. I'm assuming to discuss matters of litigation.
Litigation and land use litigation matters.
Motion. To adjourn at 8:19.
Hold on, just to clarify, please.
He gets the motion.
Okay, that's fine, but we need clarification. We are withdrawing Z8, Z9, and 10U?
Yes.
Yeah, that's fine.
Yes.
Yeah.
Yes.
Yes.
Correct.
Second.
Being that we're all here, just say good night, everybody. Good
night, everybody.
We're out of here.
Tip